Welcome everybody to another episode of Bottom of the Bill. We got our boy Jon Ward with us today.
Thanks for coming.
Yo, thanks for having me.
Before we get started, just want to announce a few things. Well, not really announce, just kind of fill everybody in. If you have any questions, suggestions for the show, or unpopular opinions yourselves, please email us at bottomofthebill@gmail.com, and we'll get all your stuff. We'll address all your stuff on the show. We have a couple of shows coming up. The Hangout Express is going to be at A1A Ale Works on February 20th from 7 to 11. It's me, Bill, and Aaron.
Or whoever shows up.
Or whoever shows up,
Yeah.
really. I mean, it's kind of Hangout Express is just kind of, we're just hanging out when we can hang out.
Yeah, but quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
Yeah.
It's the most efficient hangout you can find.
It's to the point. Get you there fast.
And then I have a couple of solo dates. February 17th, which I think is a Wednesday, at the Southern Kitchen in Jack's Beach from 6 to 9. February 19th at the Boathouse with my boy Yancey, doing a duo with him from 7 to 10. And then February 21st, I'm back at ABBQ for the brunch from 12 to 4. So come check out any of those shows or all those shows, whatever you're feeling. You guys got any shows to promote? Bill, I know that you don't.
Not yet. I'm coming with something soon.
Billy's working on a solo set.
I am working on a solo set.
I'll have to refer to the data banks.
Databanks? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got. I don't really have my calendar just off topic, but off the top of my head, I mean.
Okay.
But yeah, right now I think I just have a lot of sort of event gigs and stuff coming up. So not things that I'd necessarily call shows and such, but
Nothing that's available for the plebs out there.
exactly. But like I was telling you guys, I'm at Lynch's every Tuesday playing with B-Sides, which is super fun. It's a band that does punk covers and reggae covers and stuff. And yeah, it's always a good time out there.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, let's get into it.
We should cheers first.
Oh, yeah, we got to do the cheers. I always forget to do cheers. Jesus Christ. All right, guys.
Cheers, friends.
Cheers.
I got a full glass of vodka ready to go.
That reminds me
It's
of
got
that
parties.
That Vine.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, vodka, I like your style. It's like, it's vinegar. What? It's vinegar, bitch. You just
Yeah.
drink the whole bottle of vinegar. It's disgusting.
All right, so John, why don't you give us some background about yourself? How'd you get started playing music?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I started learning piano all the way back when I was a little kid. It's probably 5 or 6. My parents took me to piano lessons. I think I hated it back then. I was I don't want to practice. But eventually I stopped hating it, I guess. And then it was I guess towards middle school, I learned trumpet for a school band, and then I taught myself guitar kind of on the internet. And then so I had those 3 strains going kind of.
Yeah.
Those 3 threads, and then it just kind of went from there.
Were you, when you were very young and you were playing piano, what kind of stuff were you doing? Was it the Hal Leonard books and that kind of thing? Or were you going to
It was
more?
pretty much that at the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I ended up learning from this lady, Barbara Young in Gainesville, and she was an awesome piano teacher, and she had me learning classical music and theory and all that stuff. So, I was learning Beethoven and Mozart and all that kind of thing. And even though I don't play stuff like that anymore, but I know that going all the way back, that gave me a huge foundation of just being fluent in music and stuff.
Yeah. Totally.
Learning that theory and the classical styles early on.
Yeah, totally, man. That stuff makes a big difference for sure. And having that ingrained at such a young age, because it's harder to lose it. You learn shit later on, and so you don't retain it as well.
Yeah.
That's how I learned too early on. I did the Suzuki method. You ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, I've heard about it. I don't know a lot about it.
It's pretty much the same as most ways you learn any instrument, except for you learn an entire song, and then it's this song is harder than this song, and then this song you learn how to do this thing, or
Right.
Now you know how to do trills, or I can't even think of the words.
Did the Suzuki method have to do with it was all by ear instead of learning on the page or something?
By year?
Or-
No, like you mean like the year that came out?
No, I mean by ear.
Oh,
like,
by ear. No, it was definitely by it was
like
sheet
on
music.
the page.
Yeah,
Oh,
sheet
Okay,
music.
I must
yeah.
have it mixed up. I remember my teacher telling me about like, oh yeah, there's this other method that they teach kids with like they never look at the paper, but they just like
That's bad.
show them. And yeah, I was like, well, she didn't. She hated that too, but I was like, I'm glad I'm learning it this way.
My first
yeah,
song was
that's cool.
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
With Suzuki Method.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's the first song in there.
Nice. I did those with the Hal Leonard when I was doing piano when I was a kid, but I was the same. I hated playing piano when I was younger, mostly because I had to practice stuff that I didn't want to practice, and I liked classical music, but I really wasn't I was really into like rock and roll, like early like 50s, Little Richard, Elvis Presley when I was a kid, and I was like, I want to play like boogie woogie kind of shit in the piano. I don't want to play like
I was nerdier than that.
Bach.
I was listening to. I had a vinyl record of Peter and the Wolf. I was
nice.
listening to Tchaikovsky when I was 6.
Hell yeah.
So
I dig that.
That's
I
so
respect
nerdy
that.
though. And I was like, yeah, Tchaikovsky. And like, I was like, have you ever heard of Tchaikovsky before? They're like, no. Fucking, you play by yourself.
So how did you end up playing trumpet? Like, what took you that route?
It's really just like I was gonna do school band, and I guess this would have been like 4th or 5th grade. I started like a community school band, and I just had to pick an instrument for it. And my older brother had played trumpet in high school, like 10 years before me or whatever.
Oh wow.
So there was just one sitting around at my house. So my parents were like, "Well, you're gonna learn this, because we already have one." And I was like, "Okay, seems cool." But I don't know. It all just at that early age, a lot of it just kind of came in naturally. But yeah, I honestly, I think I just learned trumpet at that point because that was an instrument that we had in the house.
Yeah. So there wasn't like any music or like a player specifically that stood out to you at a young age. You were like, oh, I want to do that.
Not a ton at that point, because I think it was around 10 or 11 when I started trumpet, and I hadn't yet well, I take it back. Now that I'm going farther in my brain, my older brother used to give me recordings and stuff, and he was 11 years older than me. So when I was like 7, he would have been 18, and he would give me CDs of all this different stuff. And he gave me a lot of jazz CDs. And so as a little kid, I was hearing a lot of like Lee Morgan and Miles Davis.
Nice.
Especially those two. And then like the other, jazz mainstays like John Coltrane and stuff. But yeah, even like when I started playing the trumpet at like 10 or 11 or whatever, I had heard a lot of I think especially Lee Morgan was the sound that was in my head the most. And even into like high school and college, I think I just always heard Lee Morgan in my head. I don't know if you've listened to him a ton, but
totally, man. He's got such a specific style.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's lots of clarity
Yeah.
and lots of little bloops. It's always bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah.
But he's awesome. And yeah, I think later on Miles Davis became what I was shooting for, kind of.
I feel like every trumpet player kind of goes through that phase.
Got you.
I mean, it just musicians in general, I think, end up going through that phase where it's like Miles, man, that guy, he was it.
Yeah.
I always liked Freddie
He's
Hubbard.
like an archetype, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was always into. I liked Freddie Hubbard a lot. He has a very,
Yeah.
like Miles. Obviously, is very laid back and kind of and fluid, but Freddie Hubbard had this way of just you could sing all of his solos. They had such a good feel. He has an amazing sense of time and everything. I love the way he played.
It's like this presence. You could hear his voice and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty magical.
Billy, what do you think about these guys?
I never really got into jazz ever.
Yeah.
I went from classical all the way up until I was 18, and then I was electronica the rest of the way. So.
Yeah, so you just skipped that whole
Nice.
thing.
No, I never went into jazz. Whenever I make dinner here, though, I'll put on Dave. That's what I call him, Dave B. Dave Brubeck.
Oh, nice.
He's the best.
Oh,
God, he's the best.
I do like Dave Brubeck.
So I'm starting to melt a little bit into jazz, but I don't know.
Not your thing.
It's
It's an acquired
It
taste.
scares me.
It's
I can't understand it.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
What's
You know what I
just
mean?
play the right notes.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I don't like about jazz? Like 100 things, but the one thing I hate about jazz the most is jazz drum solos. They're the worst. This isn't even an unpopular opinion. Yeah, we're not to
You're
that
like,
section.
dude, are you done yet?
I'm just like,
Are you done playing those drums?
Yeah.
it's just like, what is it? It's not like they're doing jazz drums, so it's like all over the place, and it's like it's just weird different rhythms, and it's as much as you can do at one time. And I'm just like, do like the drum roll thing that they do, like jump on them. Do Moby Dick, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
That's a drum solo.
you have to listen. You have to be like listening very intently to catch it
What do you
because
think
they're playing
I'm doing when that sound comes out of the
Well,
speaker?
I think that if you really want my honest opinion
Go
on what I think
ahead.
you're doing,
Yeah.
I think that you listen to music very passively.
Passively.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
So
Am I
which is-
witnessing some drama here?
No. This is our shtick. This is what we do. We just shit on
Shots
each other the
fired.
whole time. Yeah.
I like it.
But it's why you like electronic music.
No.
It's because it's very passive
Well,
and
no, you're
easy
you're
to
wrong.
digest.
No.
And then when you listen to like an amazing drum solo, it's there's like
Amazing.
there's so many levels to what's happening, and like you kind of have to pick and choose what you want to be listening to at any given time. And if you really pay attention, you can actually hear the melodies, especially in jazz soloing on drums, of the tunes. So I think that you just don't listen on that level.
I don't know. Ever seen Whiplash before?
Yeah.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really, really good movie. But
Yeah.
I was just like, he's doing harder drum solos. I'm like,
Remind me about Whiplash when we get to unpopular opinions.
Uh-oh,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
But I was watching Dave Brubeck from the 50s, and everybody got a solo. Dave was awesome. The bass player was amazing. I think it was horns. It was a trumpet player that was playing it, and then the drums got a solo, and I was like, what?
You're like, I
What
don't like
is
I don't like that
this?
part where everybody else stops.
Here's what I'm trying to say. If you want to fake jazz, learn drums. Because you can just do a fake jazz drum solo whenever you wanted to.
Right.
Because that's what it sounds like to me. That he was just like pop pop da, 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 something whatever.
I got some boys that'll be that'll enjoy hearing that.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Come at me.
Fucking
Right.
We already had what's his name?
Start the great drum controversy
Jack Miller
of
on it and everything like
2021.
Yeah.
that. Give me a jazz drum solo. Let's hear it.
I'll get
Anyways.
Medico or Stefan on the show and
Yeah.
have that conversation.
That's
You
right.
should have them play a solo live in the room.
Yeah,
That'd
right.
be fire.
It's
yeah.
just it's like film Billy's reaction to it and upload the reaction to
Billy's like-
YouTube. I just don't get it. It sounds just like noise.
It does, and I mean that's what all drums is. Really, it's just noise.
That's all music is.
Well,
it's just noise.
it's no notes. You know what I mean?
That's
That's the
not
thing
true.
about drums is all that noise they make.
Yeah, I agree. He's on my page. He gets it.
Yeah.
But there are no notes.
Man, I like a jazz drum solo. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I
If
mean,
it's
I hate to
good.
tell you.
I would agree that it doesn't have to be in every single song. You know what I mean? But like,
Oh well, that's the thing that sucks about jazz too. Is that I like you want to go down the bullet list
no.
because like you got a solo the whole time, the entire time.
No.
When's the singing come in?
Oh my god.
Waiting for the chorus.
Right.
All right.
It's all the chorus.
It's exactly. You know what's so funny to me is a jazz song could just stop whenever it feels like it, and then like that would be the ending. And I don't know. I don't know if it actually is the ending or if they fucked up.
Oh man, I hate everything you're saying.
Really? I think I'm saying what everybody else is thinking, and you're the weird one.
I'm the weird one.
Anyways, please
Uh-huh.
continue.
So
Sorry for derailing.
I will say, even as someone who has studied jazz for 15 years, I still have to be in the right mood, and I frequently am like, I don't want to listen to jazz right now.
Yeah, I'm not the guy who's
Even though I have spent more time listening to jazz than a million people, but I still am like, I'm tired of this.
yeah.
Sometimes. But it depends. It's like you got to be in the right mood, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely not the person that rides around listening to jazz all day or has records playing in my house like all day. It's just and I definitely have to be in the mood for sure.
I just had a vision of you and your Honda Fit listening to jazz.
listening to jazz in my Honda
Just-
Fit.
and
That's nice.
with your arm out the window.
No.
like just cranking it.
That's a pleasant vision.
Yeah, I know.
There are times where I do like to do that, but most of the time I'm not listening to jazz. It's just I went through a phase, and then also when it is on, it's just you have to appreciate the impact that it had on music as a whole, and specifically American culture and everything, you know. So it's like, and like the level of, like the attention to detail that goes on, and the whole idea of on the spot composition and improvising, you know, like the whole thing is just amazing, you know. So I just have a deep respect for it.
I always had this like conspiracy theory about jazz where it was like one person like started playing like messed up wrong notes, but he was really convincing, and everybody was like, yeah, this is it, this is good, this is good. And then it just got out of control.
Just got out of control.
But anyways, I'm gonna write that down for a band name, Jazz Phase.
Jazz Face?
Phase.
Yeah.
There was somebody that said you're never more than a half step away from the right note.
That's what Matt Laplume, the bass player we had on, kept on saying, and that is true.
That's real in a way. Yeah,
that means that also you're a half step away from wrong note.
it's true.
Kind of a
Unless
glass half
there
empty.
unless there is no wrong notes.
That's right. Unless there is no wrong notes. You hit a note twice in a row. That's not wrong anymore.
I like to live in
Exactly.
a world with law and order and rules, and there's no rules in jazz. But apparently there's more rules.
There's
And it's
also a
ridiculous.
large spectrum of jazz, because you can go
Yeah.
from jazz that's very in the box to where there definitely is no rules.
Yeah.
Not even as a joke, but there's literally no rules. And all of those, there's a whole spectrum in between those. Everyone seems to find a point along that spectrum of the amount of rules that they like.
Yeah.
I like all the rules.
Yeah, you like all the rules.
Every rule.
It's like it's fascinating to me how you can get like the kind of like Frank Sinatra era, or like kind of like that style of jazz, and then you have like the more modal stuff like Miles and then like wherever the fuck he started taking that shit later on.
Yeah.
And then you have like guys like Herbie Hancock and like the Headhunters that were doing like this funkier kind of approach to it.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And that, yeah, and then but then you have guys like Mingus, right, where he's just like, I can hardly get through a Mingus record, honestly. I just like that's where I will agree with you. I listen to that, I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
Nobody
but, you
does.
know.
That's what I'm saying. It's a conspiracy.
I don't know. Anyways.
We'll never know. The only people that could confirm that would never tell you. So
Well, they're dead now. Anybody who likes jazz is dead.
well, the people now that say that they understand it won't tell you that they don't. So you'll never be able to find out
You think
the
there's
truth.
Jazz Illuminati.
Definitely.
And they all just like hang out over the ashes of Miles Davis and just jerk
That
off.
should be your-
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is jerk off.
That's where it was headed. That should be your next. That should be your investigative episode. You
wanna
guys
start
do
true
like a
crime podcast? I'm in.
documentary on the Jazz Illuminati.
Oh my God, Jazz Illuminati is such a good band name. I really wish I'd written that down instead of Jazz Phase.
It's too bad that your phone is out of note space, because you can't write that one down anymore.
Well, I have a rule that I try not to do more than like one band name a day, because it just gets ridiculous. Yeah.
I understand.
Okay, good.
I've definitely had lists of band names that were like 65 long.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you come to it later, you're like, I'm not going to use any of these because there's too many.
Yeah, it's garbage. I use elite filtered band names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what was the?
You want to give you some?
Well, there was one about
again?
like vagina something or another.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's good.
Inside lady penis.
That one, yeah.
That's
No,
good.
that's the elite. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I just had a great one
Let's hear it.
that I would like to remember. I don't even know if I can remember it. I wrote it down. Oh, the Trevor Trove.
The Trevor Trove. That's
Thought that was
that.
pretty fun.
It's good.
If somebody was actually named
alliteration.
Trevor, it would blow everybody's mind.
Yeah. That's
You gotta hire someone named Trevor in the band now.
alliteration is important. Consonants is important. That's a good one. Trevor Trove.
All right. Well, while we're kind of on
Are you
the,
mad? Because I have derailed this.
I'm mad at you all the time.
Well, I know, but
I'm never not mad at you.
Well, I
There's
want
never
you-
a moment that I'm not mad at you.
I'm sorry.
Look, we can't all get jazz.
That's a great band name too, man. Like we're having a lot. Anything with jazz in it, I'm about because we're making fun of it.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sweating.
Well, speaking of genres,
Speaking of genre,
Great segue.
it's
That
great.
may or may not
I'm
actually
the
exist.
segue king.
I love genres.
What were you listening to early on, like when you first started playing music that was inspirational for you?
It's weird, I like super early on, like I was saying, I would listen to what my brother gave me, which was just a huge assortment, but when I was kind of like coming into my own. Like I remember I had a huge Green Day phase.
Oh yeah.
6th grade. I was like
Same.
all about the Green Day.
You're probably talking like American Idiot era though, right? Because you're a little younger than
exactly.
me. Yeah, okay.
It was American Idiot, but some of the ones before that too.
Yeah.
But basically, I would say the point that was like the most formative for me, like through middle school and high school, was I went on a big path of like, I guess, progressive rock and metal and stuff. I was really big into Coheed and Cambria.
Oh, nice.
I was really big into Tool, which I still am.
Love Tool.
I've been obsessed with Tool since I was like 14, and it never went away. So,
Bill, why don't you tell me how you feel about Tool?
I haven't really given them a hard listen.
Oh, now we're gonna be nice about it.
you guys should just copy and paste the last 10 minutes, but replace the word jazz with Tool.
That would be funny too.
Yeah.
Because it kind of makes the same thing. Honestly, I couldn't even.
I
tell
hate
you.
Tool drum solos.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
what does he do?
couldn't. I couldn't tell you one thing about Tool. I had never really gave him a shot. I had this idea. I was like, I'm off for this whole weekend. I'm gonna listen to their whole discography. I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's past. Do you think?
You won't like it.
No, you don't.
We
know.
should do like
I
a
do know.
spin-off
You don't know
episode
that.
someday where it's just that we try to convince him to like Tool.
Or just anything that's
I
Or
good.
haven't-
anything.
Yeah.
I'm not trying
Any
to
kind
s-
of good music
I have no
would be
opinion
cool.
about them. I just don't. I can't tell you one song by them.
Mm.
So I just wondered, do you think it's hard as a 30-year-old man to get into Tool, or is this the right time? Because it seems like that's kind of what the target audience is. I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I don't think it's too late.
Side note-
I think if you spend some time diving in there, you'd find some magic.
okay.
That's what I would say.
But I have met Alex Gray, who does all the covers.
You've met him?
Yeah, I met him twice,
Damn,
actually.
that's crazy.
And I went to New York to the Church of Mirrors and saw his whole
Oh, wow.
thing. And he had
That's incredible. I've
yeah.
always wanted
Do
to
you know
see
who he
that.
is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's great, and I met him and his wife, and they were doing like a presentation about all their artwork, all the covers of their
Yeah.
they're there in like huge, and it's really cool. And it
What,
was free.
what was Cosm like?
Cosm?
Is that what they call the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors? Or
Yeah,
whatever?
that's what they call it, Chapel of
Yeah.
Sacred. I call it Church of Mirrors. I'm an idiot.
Oh,
But anyways,
no, that's cool.
but it was just like a house in the middle of upstate New York.
Yeah.
I went during the daytime. Who knows what goes on at night, but it was looking pretty
Right.
cool. And they were actually like when I was getting there, they were like trying to get it funded to build it up more, because at the time it was just like a farmhouse basically. But it reminded me of like if you go to like one of those like kind of crappy museums, like they call themselves a museum and really it's just an old house. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
That's what it was like.
That's
But it
hilarious.
was really pretty up there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of hippies.
Oh,
God
yeah.
damn.
That's
Obviously, New
that's a
York, yeah.
surprise.
So many hippies.
All right, so Tool.
Yeah, so Tool, there's
sorry.
that. And that's it. That's the last band I ever liked.
That was like
No. Yeah, I'm like trying to go through the history in my head. The Mars Volta was a band that had a huge impact on me.
I really liked them a lot in high school.
Yeah. I do
Especially
actually know
their first album, Delouse in the Comatorium. That was the first. This is probably a better answer to what you asked me, because that record was probably the first thing that like really blew my brain wide open. I think I must have been maybe 13 the first time I listened to it, and I feel like the first time I didn't get it, and then I listened to it again and I got it somehow, and I was like, you can make music like this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Because, I don't know, before that, I hadn't gotten that you could make stuff with that much whatever it is.
Right.
I don't know what the adjective is for the Mars Volta, but
It's like noise rock or something like that. I don't even know what to call it. It's not
It's
noise
like-
because it's amazing, but it's.
but
not.
well, it's definitely noisy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hear that, and it's like it's very otherworldly.
Yeah.
Like that album has this whole story about their friend that was in a coma that like astral traveled to other dimensions and stuff.
Wow.
And it's just insane. That thing's like a weird head trip, that album. But yeah, so I mean that was one of the things, and then later on just other records like that. I was always into full albums that from the front to back they had this weird like otherworldly feeling.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, it was kind of unsettling almost, but I enjoyed the way that it could like transport.
Did you ever get into Thrice?
A decent amount. I was never like a total nerd for them, but I liked some of it for sure.
So they have an album that came out when I was like probably in 11th or 12th grade. It was called the Alchemy Index.
I remember that one.
And that shit, talk about unsettling. And it's like 5 different like full length albums or whatever they put out, like one for each element of the earth. And it was like it was some of that, but an amazing album conceptually, and some really like pretty and like kind of melancholy songs. But then you have like these very like aggressive and like hard to listen to songs, but that's kind of part of the full experience of listening to the full record,
Yeah, I always liked hardcore bands that would go in between, like they would intersperse stuff that was really pretty and then stuff that's like really hard to listen to.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it made both of them stand out more.
Definitely,
I feel like.
you get that duality,
And it's easier to like be engaged through the whole album because you're getting this up and down
right
kind of thing. I always liked that.
So when did you start putting together, like when were you first starting to get involved in bands and stuff like that?
I had some little failed attempts in middle school and stuff. I would say the first band I was really in that was like, that did something actual was like, I guess 9th grade. It was called Township Rebellion, which is named after a Rage Against the Machine song.
Oh, nice.
And that was fun. I was a guitar player and like singer in that, weirdly enough, because I don't do that anymore. But
what kind of stuff were you guys doing?
we were like, we would do covers of like Rage Against the Machine and I'm trying to think. We did a cover of a Fall of Troy song, some Easy Tool songs, but then we had half of the songs were like original, like our attempt at like writing prog metal as 14-year-olds.
Nice.
But it was pretty fun. There's a cool well, it's not there anymore. There was an awesome music venue in Gainesville called 1982. Shout out to 1982. They're very sadly not there anymore, but they used to have, they called it an all ages music venue. So you didn't have to be 18 to like play there or whatever.
Okay.
So everyone who was in high school in Gainesville would like throw huge shows there.
I got you. It's like no alcohol kind of deal.
I think they served beer, but I think some kind of permit, like you could come in under 18, but they would have a separate band for over 21.
Right.
So I don't know, but anyway, that was that band, and that was really fun for like, well, it was fun for the whole time. It lasted about a year or two. But the first one I did that had a lot of staying power was this band called Carpadium. And we started that in maybe 2010, and that band lasted until, I want to say 2016. Like we were doing that for a while, and that was kind of like a math rock thing. Went through a big math rock phase, and that was all original, and we ended up making 3 albums, which are still out on Bandcamp and the internet and stuff, which yeah, I can share that with y'all later, some links or something if people want to check it out.
Hell yeah.
But that band was really fun, and it started out we were trying to do like a prog metal thing again, and then as we got into college and like changed our tastes and stuff, it turned into like very absurd kind of like abrasive noise math rock.
Nice.
It was pretty ridiculous, but it was a lot of fun, and we did 2 tours and like I think we did a tour like 2015 and then 2016 or something like that.
Oh, so you were already in college when you were in this band. Is this a band in Jacksonville or in Gainesville?
No, this band started in Gainesville when we were all in high school, but it lasted through the time that we were all in college. And
Okay.
we kept it going when some of us were in Jacksonville and some of us are in Gainesville, but it had enough staying power that we were like commuting and still keeping it going for a good 6 or 7 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a lot of
man.
fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Did you have were all your friends or all your bandmates rather, were they all kind of like in music school as well, and you guys were all doing the thing, or was it just you that was kind of pursuing it in that way?
Yeah, it was always kind of a mixture. Like in that band, which was mainly a trio, our drummer was also like really involved in the school music and all that stuff. He ended up getting a degree at UF in ethnomusicology, so he's
What
always
is that?
It's like I don't know a ton about it. I guess like the cultural histories of like music in different parts of the world, and world music, or how music crosses with like
Broaden your
what's the word
horizon,
I'm looking
dude.
for? Anthropology. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So how like maybe like how it I could see like how it integrates like evolution and stuff like that kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of it. I'm talking out of my ass here because I don't really know what ethnomusicology is.
Yeah, just
but,
an interesting sounding degree. I've never even
but it's
heard
something
that.
like that. But that's all a sidetrack. But yeah, so our drummer Andrew was very academic in that way, and our guitar player Ryan was super academic in other areas, but he taught himself music.
Okay.
So he was super into like weird literature. Like right now he's getting his PhD in like avant-garde literature or something.
Nice.
So he's that kind of dude. And he was awesome, but he taught himself guitar, and so we had this cool mixture of he would write things in a sort of way where he would just put his hand here and come up with stuff and be like, I like that. But behind it, he had these crazy, like, artistic concepts, and then Andrew and I knew music theory and stuff, so we would kind of help him to, like, flesh it out and stuff. So it was a cool combo of, like, self-taught and, like, school music,
I feel like that's always a really good dynamic. When I was first getting started playing in bands, I had no concept of music theory or anything like that.
Right.
I'd not even really listened to jazz or done anything like that at all. And I got involved with like guys that were in school, and it just took all these singer-songwriter style songs that I had and kind of gave them life and gave them a little bit more, depth to them, I guess. And then also like really forced me to learn the language and get better, because there was no way I was hanging with those guys. And so it's a good, but either way, from a songwriting perspective, it's cool to kind of have, it's like sometimes it's good to have somebody that doesn't know all that to kind of bring the people that do know all of it back down to earth a little bit. And then it also kind of helps bring them, the people that don't know anything, up, a little bit more to their level,
Yeah, I strongly agree with that. And I've always been really fascinated with the balance between those things, between like knowing the rules and just like going off the cuff, because like you said, well, I think a lot of people that learn tons of theory and that they do learn all the stuff, they end up like getting in their own way because they have all the rules in their head.
Yeah.
And like sometimes if people get too caught up in that, I feel like it makes the creativity not as natural.
Yes.
And on the flip side, like most of the people I know that are the most creative, that are just constantly coming up with amazing stuff, like a lot of times they don't know all that stuff. And I feel like there's a way in which all the rules being in people's head can like become a blockage.
Yes.
And the best bands I've been in have been where like the people that came up with the raw creative power didn't really know music theory, but then the other people that did could help to build everything out in a cleaner way.
Totally.
So it just synergizes well, those two approaches, I think.
It's like Sean. Like Sean, our bass player, doesn't know anything about theory at all. But he.
Are you serious?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Wow, he's really good at hiding it. It's been like 4 years.
Well, he.
Well, what bass player does?
But-
you know what I'm saying?
oh.
I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
But he always writes some of our best songs, I feel like, just because of that, because they're either really simple and they're catchy and then we can kind of build like cool ideas around them, or because he does something that's very unconventional, like it'll be like a weird change or like something that really doesn't, that you wouldn't have thought, I wouldn't have thought of anyways. And then we can kind of do something new and creative with it. So it's definitely a good balance to have.
Yeah,
I
he's
think.
got what I got too, which is 2 ears and a heart.
Oh, you're saying that?
I like
Two
that.
holes that were drilled into your head that you can receive vibrations in,
Yeah.
and then he has 0 heart.
Yeah.
Just a little motor that
He's
pumps blood around.
Well,
but
we're not really gonna get into it. He's reptilian.
I'm
He's not
reptilian.
from this
Yeah,
dimension.
that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
it's the jam band Illuminati.
Ooh.
That would be pretty good. That's actually a thing, though. We can get into that later.
Come on.
Okay.
You don't know
Well,
about
we're here.
You don't know about the Grateful Dead, like
Oh, yeah.
Illuminati
We're here.
and the LSD, like Illuminati, and how to like be a part of it and everything like that.
Oh yeah, I've heard like weird shit like that,
Yeah,
like,
you got, like,
amongst the dead community
You
for
gotta
sure.
lick a fucking giant crystal of LSD, and then just be like, all right, after you come out of it, you're part of the Illuminati.
Oh, what if I just take a ton of LSD at one time? Does
no,
that work?
that is what it is.
Well, I'm just saying, can you? Like, I've just like
They
tripped
had
really
this
hard for
cri-
like 2 days
No,
straight.
they had
It's
the
a
this,
same
like,
thing.
specific
crystal.
crystal.
Oh, it's a
in
specific
I know. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
It sounds like you were right.
it's
'cause
made of LSD.
Oh, okay.
It's in the Jerry Garcia Museum.
Yeah. He knows.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, just want to take a second to talk to you about one of our favorite music venues, Blue Jay Listening Room. Blue Jay is a space for true music lovers where every ticket is a backstage pass. Silence your cell phones, enjoy a nice glass of wine or craft beer, and be part of an intimate experience unlike anywhere else in Jacksonville. Hear national and local artists sing their original songs and share the stories behind them in a space carefully curated for the premier show-going experience. I personally have seen some of my favorite shows here, as well as having played with some of my heroes. Not only is Blue Jay a wonderfully unique experience, it has become a staple in the Florida music scene. Mention Bottom of the Bill on your next visit and receive 10% off your tab. Blue Jay is located at 2457 3rd Street South, Jacksonville Beach, and be sure to check out www.bluejayjacks.com for news, ticketing, and events. So I guess because you do a lot of different things now, but before we get into all the stuff that you're doing now, how do you think that being in, because before you were in like cover bands or anything like that, you were doing like creative projects, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So how do you think that helped shape who you are as a musician versus like having gone in just strictly learning tunes and playing out, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think overall I've just always been really lucky to have a variety of different points on the spectrum between like writing from scratch or playing covers, or the variety between learning in school and like DIY in a garage. And all of those have been parts of like my music history. So I guess I've just always been fortunate that I've had all those different ingredients that I could sort of combine together. So I don't know. I think these days it just helps me to feel natural in all those different environments. Because when I do like original bands, creative bands now, it feels like, it feels like home. It feels really familiar, but it feels equally familiar if I'm like reading the page in a jazz orchestra or something.
Yeah.
Just because. So I think at this point I'm just lucky that I've had those different ingredients, because it makes me able to fit into different like kind of slots now when I need to.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I guess mainly just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like multifaceted, I think is how that helped me in the past, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But-
totally. I mean, I think Billy and I are kind of similar in the sense where we both, when we first started playing music, we were like in creative projects also, where we didn't like start cover bands, like join cover bands right away. Like we started.
I
playing.
don't know. Do you consider praise and worship covers? Because that's basically a cover band.
I guess that's true.
That's actually that's kind of a good question.
I was in the worst cover band. That
It's
you
a
could
pretty
ever
gray
listen
area,
to.
I feel like.
Well, yeah, I guess. Well, I mean,
that's how I got my start, anyways. Is through the church.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'll speak for myself.
Go
then.
ahead.
But because I started playing in creative projects also, and I felt like, in some ways it was a big disservice to me, but in other ways it wasn't. And the ways where it was a disservice to me is that there's a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily play authentically. There's a lot of styles that I can like kind of fake a lot of different styles, but I can't really play any one style like super authentically. But at the same time, I don't really sound like I spent a lot of time like developing my own unique sound, You know, so I feel like that's like a really important aspect of getting involved in creative projects at a young age when you're just starting out, because that really helps you. There's no reference point. Like we're just creating shit. You might have your influences and who you want to sound like, but when you're writing a song, you're really kind of putting your own stamp on that.
Yeah.
And that's a process of self-discovery as an artist, you know. Whereas like when you join a cover band right off rip, like you're learning the exact bass lines or guitar parts or whatever it might be, and you do that for your career, and then you're really good at sounding like other people, but you might not have like your own kind of identity, you know.
I think for me, I was just living in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
there was
so
not
I was
another musician in sight in Wilmore, Kentucky.
Where-
So
Okay. I was gonna ask where.
middle of nowhere. And so yeah, I would just play on my own. So I was so used to just being like, okay, I got to play every part. I have to play the bass and the percussion and the lead and the chorus and everything like that.
Right.
So that's my style.
Were you learning like the actual bass lines
Of
and
course,
stuff?
yeah,
Wow.
everything. Like I did everything with it so that I could play it, and I didn't sing, so I would just it would sound like, you know, like almost like a ragtime or some sort of full encompassing just piano song. Piano's got that. You can make it sound like it's the whole band.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So that's what I got good at, and then. Yeah, I had to unlearn that once you start playing with other people. That was the first thing he said. Is like,
Right.
you need to fucking lay out the left hand and then just relax.
It's like, dude, stop playing everyone else's part.
Exactly,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
That's
I was
funny.
like so good that I was playing everybody else's part. I didn't realize it until somebody told me. It's like, you're too
Well,
good.
You were playing everyone else's part.
like,
you weren't necessarily doing it well, but you were doing
it's
it.
just hard being so
I didn't
good.
say it well. I said good. But I did. I had to unlearn that. But yeah, that's from doing covers. I guess that is a cover. I never thought about it until right now. That at church.
Playing at church,
It's
yeah,
just
no, that
doing
makes
covers.
sense.
It's just doing covers.
Totally.
But I did that. But it was like a full band.
But I feel like a lot of
The worst
churches,
songs.
a lot of churches are like
No offense to
like
Christians.
there's own.
It's just like, got bad music. It's bad.
Now were you learning like were you playing like the music off the paper, or were you learning like doing your own
There is
interpretation?
no music for it. It's
Right,
It's,
okay,
that's
so
where
that's what I was getting at.
That's how I learned how not bar chords. What do you call it? Lead sheet, right?
Yeah.
It's not even lead sheet because it's just the chords like on
Yeah.
top of it.
It's like the
always
lyrics
G, D,
with
E
the
minor, C, the entire way.
letter above it. Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever you want to call that.
Totally.
I call it praise and worship music, but
But yeah, that's kind of what I was
and
getting
then
at.
it was
Like,
like
there's interpretations.
have fun, Bill, because you're not getting paid
Yeah.
because you're 15.
Yeah.
So that was my deal.
It was a bit creative then because
Yeah, it was.
It was just like, here's a chord progression, now just do your thing over
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
As blessed as creative as you can be, with blessed be your name.
Okay.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Yeah, those kind of songs.
No.
I want to see.
Wait,
you need to go to church.
I didn't step into a church for the first time until I was like 19 years old.
I think I stepped into a church when I was a newborn.
Dude,
and
I know-
think I stepped out.
I know all
when
about.
I was 21.
know all about those songs, dude. I grew up going to church too. I
Yeah,
learned
right?
all those songs.
Yeah, it's just there. I don't understand. And if you go back now, still the same songs. I'm just like, dude, write a new.
They cycle some new ones, but there are some songs
They just
that
want the oldies.
I was like, I heard this when I was 4.
Well, I really liked my Nana. She had a hymnal. Do you know what a hymnal is?
Mm-mm.
You don't know what a hymnal is?
Mm-mm.
So when you go sit down in the church in the pew, they'll have 2 books in front of you. One is the Bible, and one is a hymnal. And so the Bible, obviously, you know what that is, right? But the hymnal is.
He's like,
No, never heard of it.
The hymnal is all of the music for the for like every single song you can think of, but it's all the old school songs from like the early 1900s and 1800s
Okay,
and
I
stuff like
see.
that, like Amazing Grace or
Yeah.
It Is Well With My Soul. But it has the actual sheet music, and it's just in this little books, and I was like fascinated with that when I was a little kid.
dude. Now that you're saying that, I also feel like looking through the hymnals was a big thing for me, like figuring out how harmonies worked.
Exactly, and that's what all it is. It's just 4 parts. I mean, you have the bass, tenor, alto, and soprano, and that you just see 4 different parts. And you're supposed to sing which part you are,
Right.
and just focus on that. Because back in the day, everybody actually learned sheet music and how to
Right.
read it, but not
Crazy.
anymore. But I was fascinated with that. But I would just sit on the piano and just learn hymns constantly. I can still play Amazing Grace with my eyes closed.
That's pretty cool.
Not really.
I mean, it helps. I'm sure it helped you in your development as a musician
Yeah.
in some way or another.
But anyway, this is about you. I mean, sorry.
So
Derailing.
you start. So talk about UNF a little bit and when you started going there.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up in Jacksonville, because I'd lived in Gainesville my whole life until I finished high school. And so I moved to Jacksonville right before I turned 18 to start college, and it was just awesome. It was like, for me at that point in time, it was exactly what I needed, was kind of this fresher environment to learn a higher level of music and stuff. And yeah, it was great. I remember that first year at UNF being very formative for me, because I just felt like I was tapping into all these kinds of new ways to create, and like meeting people that sounded amazing, and I was like, oh my God, people play like that.
Yeah.
Some of the people there that were the best players when I got there, it just blew my mind, because I had never watched people play that well before, and these people were like a few years older than me, and I was just like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
And it really opened my music horizons very quickly, my first couple months there.
Did you go for trumpet, or was it?
Yeah,
for
jazz trumpet, yeah. And the trumpet was my main focus all 4 years that I was there, but I was still dabbling in bass and keyboard at the same time. But
Yeah, when did you pick up the bass, by the way? We didn't even talk about that. You play bass as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, so the short story is I taught myself guitar in middle school around like the same kind of time I learned trumpet. And then when I joined that band Carpadium, this is the most classic story, but I joined because they needed a bass player, and nobody in high school played bass.
Right.
But I played guitar, and I was like, I'll try it. So I just learned bass to join that band, because I was like, I can figure this out. It's just a big guitar.
Yeah, that's what Billy calls it.
Yeah,
the guitar.
That's dad guitar and
Yeah, guitar.
That's
baby guitar.
it's very much a dad guitar.
Yeah, dad guitar.
And I mean, shit, that's all it was I had a basic understanding of guitar, and this was like sophomore year of high school was
Okay.
when I started playing bass for real. But yeah, I was just like, big guitar, bottom 4 strings of the guitar, I can handle this.
Nice.
Less strings, easier, one note at a time. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Same exact.
Right.
It's just one note. You just move that same note just all around the fretboard.
Oh yeah.
And then it's right towards the end of college in like 2015 that playing bass kind of like excited me in a big way again, and that kind of sprung back as one of my main things. And ever since that, it's been like trumpet and bass kind of like half and half as my main thing. But
Yeah, I mean, just about every time I've seen you out live in the last last year that I've like known you anyways, it's been mostly like bass gigs. I think I did a gig with you maybe like 2 years ago or something, where we were playing. It was me, Javian, Billy Monarch.
yeah.
I think you were playing bass on that gig.
yeah, I think I remember that. Was
Yeah.
that at Aromas?
That was at Aromas, yeah.
Okay.
And she
I missed that place.
yeah, that was a fun gig, except for when they called out that one tune, Blue.
Blue Typhoon.
No, it's like an old standard, like Blue Bird, something. I forget what it was. And then she looks at me to give me a solo, and I was like, I'm good. And Javian's like, no, you got it. And I was like, I don't, man. He's like, just like, no, that's not how this works, man. But yeah. So, anyways,
Javian likes to throw people in the deep end.
he's very good at doing it too, because he will really make you feel for a second like
It's
you got
no,
it.
play it. No, play it.
Yeah,
You got it.
exactly. Like, and you will feel like you got it until you start playing it. Then you're like, I definitely don't have this.
You're like, oh, he's so encouraging.
Exactly. Silently judging.
That's
I'm sure.
hilarious. Have you guys ever had him on the podcast?
No, I'd love to get Javian on, man. I'm sure he's got
He's
some
the
crazy
man.
stories.
Oh yeah. But anyway, what was I talking about? We were talking about UNF.
UNF,
I guess.
yeah. And just like
bass,
the
learning
experience
bass.
being there.
Yeah. The experience there was great, and all the teachers there were awesome. I learned a ton from Todd Del Judas there, who's the saxophone professor, but he taught me a lot about like theory and jazz improvisation. The trumpet teacher there, J.B. Scott, I learned a ton from him. And the jazz ensemble there, JE1, was like, in terms of like professional cleanliness and stuff, it's probably the best band I've ever been in.
Really?
Just in terms of everybody plays everything the right way,
Right.
you know? And like, I wouldn't compare it to like my creative projects and stuff or other bands, because it's not the same thing. But
Right.
the experience of being in that ensemble like sharpened me in a way that I don't think other things could have done, because it was just like everyone was like. But yeah, overall the whole experience learning music there was just really good to like sharpen my ear and all that kind of thing. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't learn there that I had to learn outside of school, and
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah,
don't
which
know
I
if you read my
imagine-
questions or not, but yeah, it's like one of my.
yeah, I would imagine is the next thing we would get to. But basically, yeah, there's a whole other slew of learning that was like the year or two after school.
Yeah.
But all the stuff I learned at school is definitely like indispensable, you know.
So what do you think? Where do you think it helped you the most, and where do you think like it should have helped you more? Like, what didn't it prepare you for?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the stuff it helped the most with is like, obviously theory knowledge and that kind of thing
Right.
is a big one. A lot of it just the ability to like fit into different situations, because it was like you would have to. I was also in classical ensembles like
Oh, nice.
brass choir or wind symphony or whatever. So it was just you'd have to slip into all these different shoes at any point, where you'd play like a movement of a symphony, and then you'd play like something that you wrote for the jazz combo, and then you would play like some weird new piece or something, and they all had different approaches you have to take.
Totally,
and
yeah.
it was, and I think that's something that I learned was like how to switch on a dime to like, it's almost like switching operating systems or something, or switching personalities.
Well, it's like classical music when you're interpreting what's on the paper, especially for a horn player. The idea is you want to try and get it to like tonally, like you want to get it to sound as if they were playing it like back when it was written, right? So you want to try like you don't want,
Yeah.
even if you're playing the right notes, if it doesn't sound like the sound that it was supposed to be, then you're doing it wrong.
Exactly, and all the different periods of classical music have like different ways you're supposed to play it.
Right.
And that becomes its whole own study. Is how do they play Baroque music? How do they play early classical? How do they play impressionistic period or whatever?
Right.
And that stuff was never my main focus or whatever.
But having to do shit like that, and then like go and all of a sudden like have to go do a jazz ensemble where you're probably gonna be improvising a little bit, and like realizing like, okay, well now it really is about your sound versus trying to interpret somebody else's.
Right.
That's got to be a difficult thing to wrap your brain around a little bit.
Totally, it takes a lot of adjustment. So yeah, I guess just versatility is
Yeah.
a word for that. So yeah, like versatility and fluency, like knowing, like being able to work with chords and scales easily, and like being able to hear something and write it down, or hear something and play it back, know what notes it is right away.
Right.
All that is like the kind of stuff that I would say I got from there. And on the other hand, like the flip side to your question is that I do feel that like a lot of my, I wouldn't say I was stunted. I would say a lot of my creativity was slowed down during that time. And I got myself in a lot of mental ruts where I was kind of getting hung up thinking I have to do these things the right way, or if I write music, like it has to be like this, or it has to be perfect, or
Right.
if I was going to write a piece, I would think I had to use all the stuff I learned, which would mean I'd be putting in a million chords and a million notes. And I did find that there was kind of a disconnect in like the world of like music at college, or there's a disconnect from that to like just the simple act of creating music. It's kind of like what we were saying earlier. And I think it took me a couple years of deconditioning almost to get back to like just being able to play simple and just, or especially just being able to like create music simply. And because now I'm a huge fan of simplicity, and like I would rather write a song that only has 2 chords the whole time if it feels right.
Yeah.
And it's always if. It's like something could be, I love music that has 1 million chords if it feels right. If it's
Right.
like that's what that calls for. And then other songs, I mean, there's incredible music that's like 1 note the whole time.
Right.
And there's no like requirements for that kind of thing. And that's something that I think school drills in to people's heads in maybe a negative way, is that people do get a little stuck on like, or at least for me, I did kind of stuck on like, I have to use all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you don't use it, then you lose it essentially, and especially at a time when you're really like, it's a lot of information to keep track of. It really is. If you don't put it to the test, then you're not gonna. You might just lose it all. You know. So there is something to be said about that.
That's
first.
true. There's an element of that as well, and I think it has to do with the amount of. Like I feel like that stuff was so drilled in back then that now I'm not afraid of losing it, because back then it was like every day, like in your
Right.
brain. So now I always feel like that stuff I learned is there when I need it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I also find that I don't need it as much as I would have thought.
I mean.
But it's cool to be there when I need it. So it's like it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, especially for writing music and stuff, I feel like, I mean, if you're talking about just like your standard run-of-the-mill bar gig or a corporate gig or something, obviously, like you're not going to need any, like most of that stuff for anything like that. But it really, I think, does come in handy to have at least those things in your bag of tricks when you're writing, because if you're in a rut with something, you can always like think about it from a different perspective. Maybe you're not hearing the idea, but so then you go to like your playbook. You're like, hey, well, what can I do? Like, what can actually be done here? And then you can kind of exercise all the theory knowledge and stuff that maybe you don't use in the day to day. It kind of helps to pick up where the creativity leaves off sometimes. Totally. How were you able to manage playing in bands while you were in college? I know it's very demanding. A lot of guys that I know in school can't do both, and they just end up digging their head in the books for 4 years and they've never played a gig.
Totally. Yeah, there was a bit of that, and really I was in less bands during that time than I was before or after, so it
Sure.
definitely was like a bottleneck. It had that kind of effect. But I was in really just one main band during that time, which was one called Dr. Science,
Yeah.
which maybe you have heard of that.
We played with you guys at the Snarky Puppy after
Yeah.
party.
That's right. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
That's
Yeah.
where I was like, I know I met you before, and I couldn't put my I remember that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
that was a
yeah.
fun show.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was the second iteration of Dr. Science, I think, when we added a second drummer.
Who was playing drums with you guys that night?
It was Medico and Stefan.
Oh, right,
if I remember right.
Yeah, that's right. So I remember that they both walked in, and I looked over. I was like, "This is unfair."
What'd you think of the DJ set that Snarky Puppy did afterwards? What was the name of it?
To be honest,
what was
I
the name
think
of it?
I was too tired and went home.
I
I
can't
don't
remember the
blame
name.
you. She was fucking whack.
It was God, I can't remember.
It was what's the
something town or something. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, I kind of remember that.
But I can't remember the name
Dig
of it.
Town or
Yeah, some
Jam,
shit like
Jam
that.
Town or
I
something.
can't remember either.
Bone.
It was
Jam Bone.
So
Yeah,
boring.
some shit like that. It was really boring. It was I think the trombone player or somebody from Snarky. It was one of the guys from Snarky Puppy.
Here's what I say about it: stay in your fucking lane.
Well, I mean,
Damn.
You're like, I'm gonna be DJ. DJ's easy. I'm like, okay.
The shot heard around the world.
dude
Yeah.
probably made more
Come
that
at
night than
me.
we did playing at 1904 after his main gig at the Florida Theater.
I think you made a little bit more money at the Florida Theater.
I'm sure. I'm just saying.
Was Snarky Puppy.
Anyways,
That was boring.
what
yeah,
can
that's
you
how I
do?
recognize you. I was like, what the fuck? I saw you at our show, and I was like, I know this guy. But I was in my head a little bit at that
I
show.
feel that.
You know why? I didn't get to do what I wanted to do.
well,
Oh, okay. That wasn't going to be my guess, but
That's why.
Fucking cry about
that
it,
makes
bro.
sense.
I almost did.
Yeah.
I was this close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too macho to cry. I can't cry. If you put on Rudy,
Too
that's the only.
macho to
I am.
cry.
I'll cry to Rudy. That's about it. When
He only cries behind the camera.
Yeah, behind the camera,
Off the mic.
off the mic. Have you ever tasted heaven in a glass? Do you pine for the hoppiest brews and palest ales? Do you like food? If so, then Wicked Barley is the oasis that your mouth has been wishing for, walking into the complete barren wasteland that is your life. Wicked Barley is located in Jacksonville, Florida, nestled on the banks of Goodbeast Creek. Wicked Barley aims to provide its guests with a wicked experience, offering over 18 house-brewed beers, ciders, and meads on tap. They also have an expansive gastropub-style food menu, including burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. Whether you are a newcomer or a craft beer connoisseur, there's a little something for everyone at Wicked Barley. Visit them at 4100 Bay Meadows Drive and tell them Bottom of the Bill sent you.
You were saying, you were in Dr. Science in college.
About Dr. Science. That was really well, and actually, like I was saying, that band Carpadium, we kept that going through that whole period.
You guys toured when you were in college?
Right after,
Okay.
but not during. So that helped a bit. But yeah, those are the only real like out of school things that I was involved in at that time, because I pretty much took up all my time during those years. But Dr. Science was a lot of fun. That was all people from UNF there. So we had that sort of common ground of like the same approach, the same way we were learning stuff, and like saw each other in class and all that. And that was with my one of my good friends, Evan Ruffino, who I think you probably know.
Yeah. We've met a couple times. I don't really know him that well, but yeah.
Evan's awesome. And so that band was a lot of fun. Medico's in it. Eric Ream.
I don't know him.
He's a saxophone player who's really awesome.
Okay.
And then David Ott was in it.
David Ott, yep.
So that was a lot of fun. And the album that we made back then is still on Spotify. It's called Print Shop.
Nice.
If anyone wants to go check out Print Shop by
Yeah.
Dr. Science.
I'm definitely going to check that out. I remember who was showing me, I think, did you guys do that at Chromatic?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's right. So Chris Underdahl was showing me some stuff. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but it was before
Exclusive.
like before the masters were out, before the final mixes were done.
Right.
He was showing me some stuff. He's like, "Yo, you got to check this band out. They're fucking nasty."
Of Dr. Science, that's cool.
Yeah. And I checked him out, and like I remember listening to that, and I had seen Evan do a couple of like around town playing like just some jazz gigs and stuff, and I think obviously he was really good. And I listened to that, and I was like, God damn, I didn't know, like, you know, when you hear guys playing straight ahead jazz shit, you don't always know what they're capable of outside of that, you know.
Totally. I know, dude. Evan played some shit in that band where I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I would be scared to be that guitar. Some of the stuff he played. He was like, it was awesome. Yeah, he plays with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's great.
So so do you feel like you were at a bit of a disadvantage not having the gigging experience? So you feel did college prepare you for a gigging career at all, or outside of obviously the music aspect of it?
They have gigging 101 at UNF.
They should have more stuff like
Right?
that. I mean, I guess the good answer to that question is I think it prepared me well for half of it,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
The music half of it, not the business half.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's because the way I learned there, that really helped me as far as like the ease of learning tunes, or like being able to fit in with different bands, being able to tell what's going on right away, and you know, all this kind of stuff. But it took me more time to just, like, I'm trying to think of the right way to explain it. Really just to come in my own and to just feel comfortable doing what I would do in a natural setting without all the scaffolding of the college thing.
Right.
So I feel like despite how much I learned going there, I feel like the year after I was out of school was the year I learned the most. If that makes sense.
I'm sure it was
weird,
a crash
but-
course, man, in gigging and which actually was going to be one of my questions. One of my last questions about the college stuff was there any like big like aha moments that you had, or like really like maybe even what how did I write it? Or like just like really hard lessons that you had to come to terms with, either while you were in college or maybe your first year out of college even.
You know, I feel like it was a huge series of small ahas.
Yeah.
It's like a small aha every week or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. A lot of it came from just seeing the level of playing of certain people, which was, like I said, was beyond what I had seen before. There were certain people when I showed up there, like Stefan was one of them. I had never heard a drummer like Stefan when I grew up in Gainesville. I was
Right.
like, what in the world? And Daniel Dickinson, if you ever knew him.
I don't think I know him.
He was an incredible sax player that he ended up moving up to New York. But yeah, I don't know. I think I had some ahas from just hearing how good people were. And it kind of, I guess it put a fire under my ass because I was like, wow, there's people that can actually play like that. It was kind of a realization of, I had listened to records growing up, but when I heard that, I was like, oh, there's people that sound like the record
right.
in real life.
Right.
And I'd never heard real jazz in front of my face. I'd only heard it on an album, and in my head I was just like, well, it's only on albums that it sounds like that.
Right. And then you see like some monsters like Stefan or like fucking
Yeah, I
Stan
was like,
Piper and
exactly.
yeah, you're just like, what the
I
fuck?
was like, oh, it actually does sound like that
Yeah.
when people are that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of a sideways answer, but that was like a big part of the aha was realizing the level that was possible. And I was just like, wow, it was like scary and inspiring at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, maybe I could be that good someday if I work hard enough. But it was also like, damn, those people are so good.
Yeah. That
Like-
I mean, yeah, I mean there is there is obviously a lot of hard work that goes into to being a great musician, but there is also like that very small portion of musicians that didn't really have to work as hard as everybody else did, if you know what I mean.
Totally.
They just like the physical aspect to it for them just came so naturally, and they just and the musical aspect, they just heard it. It was already there, you know. So the guys like Javian or like Stefan, like that's not like obviously
It's in their blood.
Yeah, man. Like they worked. I'm not taking anything. Like they worked hard, and they're phenomenal musicians. But like those guys are like they are that. Like that's like the physical
Totally.
incarnation of who they are. You know. So I don't know.
It's a nature versus nurture argument. I don't like it.
Well, you know,
I don't like it at all.
sometimes a little bit of both, Bill.
I don't. Well, yeah, you're right. Nothing's ever 100%, but I think anybody could be that good if they tried hard enough.
Anybody can get good, but there's a certain
I don't.
there's certain people out there that.
Yeah.
All right, maybe you just haven't met those people, but I've
Maybe,
met people.
maybe when we talk about like Freddie Mercury,
know what
because
you
he
mean,
had
though.
You know what
he
I
had an
mean?
overbite, and so it like scientifically made him be able to sing better.
No, that's not what I'm
Is that what
talking
you mean?
about. No.
Okay, well then I don't get it.
Okay.
Actually, I know that you're joking, but there
Yeah.
actually is a controversy about that in the trumpet circle. That
No, I actually no. I'm not joking about
Oh, I
that.
thought-
like,
I thought it
I
was
read
a bit,
articles
but-
about it. It's like because of like the way that his like larynx was shaped, like that's how he could sing so well.
Damn. Well, there
Literally.
is stuff like that about
Yeah.
trumpet players, like about Maynard Ferguson.
Yeah.
Is there's people that are like, there's no way he could play like that unless his mouth was like shaped a certain way
Yeah.
that could like spin the air faster.
So crazy. That's like
And
just so detailed.
There really
into it.
is a physical element to the way people can play, because obviously the way your mouth or your hands are shaped can
Yeah.
affect.
Even just as a piano player, like I've got small hands, and so like you fucking forget me trying to play Rachmaninoff. That guy is like can reach
Right.
a 15th. I can reach a ninth if I try real hard.
Yeah. Hard.
But that's it.
Exactly.
That's it for me.
But then you look at guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan, big old sausage fingers.
Sausage
Dude's
fingers.
fucking, arguably changed the
saucy,
landscape
it's
of
just the
blues.
fingers.
You know, and there's a lot of
Django Reinhardt.
oh yeah, man, yeah. I mean, like yeah, man, or fucking look Look at Les Paul had 3 fingers. And look at the shit he was doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, is it true that Django Reinhardt had 2 fingers?
I don't.
Or am I going crazy?
I don't think that's true.
Well, besides
I
the
just
point, though,
I think you might have made that up.
you're talking
We
about
can fact check. We need
Wow.
Jamie, look that up.
Yeah.
You're just trying to
Young
say
Jamie.
Young Jamie.
You're trying to
I'm
say
looking it up
that
right now.
like the
I apologize to everybody if I'm wrong, but I've been under that impression for my entire life.
what?
That Django Reinhardt only had 2 fingers.
I don't know who Janko Reinhardt is.
He's a guitar player.
Neat.
He's one of the most famous like old time jazz guitar players,
Oh,
like gypsy
okay.
jazz.
Gypsy Jazz. That's a good band name.
It looks like you're incorrect about that.
He had all 10
But-
fingers.
He.
Wait, zoom in on one of those pictures.
I'm
Oh,
trying
man.
to get a good one.
That was great for the video.
Hold on, guys.
But it still doesn't.
Maybe there's some kind of like deaf.
Oh,
maybe
he's
they're
reptilian.
deformed or something.
Oh, that's
'Cause,
textbook,
like
man.
they're here.
claws.
Yeah, his claws.
They're here. It looks like he's not like they're not functional. Maybe,
I think maybe it was something like that.
But anyways,
which
that-
is insane. how he's able to do what
physical
he-
deformities and stuff like that. Yeah, that definitely comes into play. But when
Exactly.
you're talking
That's
about
what I'm
like,
getting at.
yeah, but that's different than just being.
But it's not
born.
really that important. It's more of a curiosity that it just
I guess.
affects people's whatever they do.
I don't know,
Yeah.
It's weird. I always see. I'm sure you've seen that video. I can't remember the name of the guy, but it's the YouTube video where his son, he's like just started teaching him at a really young age, and he'll just play like the craziest like 10-part chord, and then the son will like sing every single note in the chord.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
I
about?
do know what you're talking about.
And so I'm just like, can you teach any 3-year-old that? And then eventually it's like, yeah, I started teaching him at about 2 or 3, and then this is the way that he is now.
Yeah,
Or is it because he's a genius?
could be both.
I don't think so.
Why not?
I think I'm just saying that I think that you can teach anybody that
Yeah,
has the mental capacity for it.
anybody can learn how to play music for sure.
That's not what I'm trying.
I agree
that's
with that.
not- Okay, but I'm going back to the other thing of that he's 11 years old and then he can he can hear like a and then it's not like a normal chord. It's like a really dissonant
So
chord.
some people are born at perfect pitch. You know.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Oh, you don't believe that?
No.
That's real.
Pretty sure that that's
Not
just
real.
science, but
No,
that's
it's
fine.
not.
I mean, you know.
Because you can just get to you can tell me that you can tell between 439 hertz and 440 hertz. No.
Yes.
Incorrect.
Okay.
I don't believe you.
See how he is so frustrating.
He's trying to skip straight to the last segment.
No, I'm not trying to. This is not a popular opinion. We're talking about music. This is music.
No, it is. I'm just saying.
I just don't believe that. And in fact, that was when I went to
I'm
UNF.
noting another unpopular opinion.
Okay.
I'll save it,
Go ahead.
but remind me that it has to do with this.
I got an unpopular opinion.
bitch.
You suck.
Oh, okay.
Wow, dude.
Wow, that's not unpopular.
Sorry, that was a little
so
aggressive.
Bully to you.
Sorry, I was stating a
It's
fact,
escalating.
and it was supposed to be an opinion. I'm
So
sorry.
my music theory teacher
dude.
at UNF, because I lasted a whole half of a semester
Hell
and
yeah.
I dropped out. But I
So did I have the mental capacity to play, or
no,
what was it?
It had a lot to do with my family life. But the second part is my music theory teacher, who was a hard ass, like the hardest of hard asses, he was the one who was saying there's no such thing as perfect pitch. And then he said that reason. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I couldn't tell the difference between 440 and 439.9999.
You don't have perfect pitch, do you?
It doesn't exist. Nothing's perfect.
Okay, well,
There are people that know what note a note is. If
Yeah.
you hear it. If you're saying perfect pitch doesn't exist because people can't tell like a fraction of a hertz apart
Yeah.
on the dime, that's maybe there's an argument to be
Yeah.
made for that. But there are people that can hear a note out of silence and go, that's a G sharp.
And they're just born with that, or they had to learn how to do that?
Yeah, they're just born with that. I mean, like you have to learn the names
have
of
to
the
learn
notes
music.
when
you still have to learn
you
music
grow
and
up. But I
everything.
mean, it's that they have some mechanism in their ear that anchors it. Like they know
That's crazy.
you can go sing a G and they're like, oh, I don't know if that's a G.
What's the
but-
science?
Now there's relative pitch.
I think that was like an A flat, but you're close. I have perfect pitch, actually. I do.
Right.
So there's relative pitch.
Doesn't exist, dude.
Doesn't exist.
Which is where if you're given a note.
I know what relative.
Okay,
pitch is.
but-
For
and
the
that-
listener, sorry.
Yeah, so relative pitch is when you're given
Go
a
ahead,
note.
let's just-
and
Bailey
you
doesn't
point-
care about you listeners.
That's obvious. Yeah.
We did that in oral theory. That's all.
All right, so let me explain. Can I explain relative?
Go ahead.
So relative pitch is when you have they give you a point of reference,
Yeah.
and then you can from there, then you can tell what pitches are, or you can sing a pitch from theirs because that's relative pitch. But like, there's people that can just wake up and have never heard a sound for the day, and you just give them. They hear a bird singing, they can tell you what note that is if they know music.
And that's what I'm trying to say. You can be taught that.
You can't be taught perfect pitch.
I think you can.
Okay.
And that little kid.
so-
It sounds like we're going to the next
Going to
question.
the next question.
You can get taught that.
Okay.
You can get taught anything.
Okay.
Don't tell me it can't be done.
I'm telling you, it can't be done, Bill.
Don't tell me.
Why don't you teach yourself perfect pitch?
I already got it.
Well, that's not what I heard on stage the other night. I'm just joking. I had some pretty bad moments myself.
No, you sounded great.
You were on
Everybody
fire
told
the
me
other
that
night,
you
by the
sounded
way.
great.
Thank you.
For what it's worth.
I appreciate that.
I was just holding down.
Sucks
two
about your
instruments
bass
at
player
once.
that he died.
Yeah,
right.
unfortunately, he passed away like
Rest in
30
peace.
minutes before the show too.
Yeah, man, it sucks.
Right.
Show
really
must go
inconvenient
on.
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
should have been more considerate.
We should have been working. Yeah, I mean, just fucking
Looking
God.
for a new tall Long Island bass player. If you can find one. I can't
But
replace
no,
it with
it
You
a
can
really
sing
did
like
s-
Prince.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You can sing like Prince. It's so weird.
It really did sound great. It was cool that I felt like you guys stumbled upon a unique sound I haven't heard before because it was like half synthesizer and half acoustic.
Yeah,
That's
But
kinda-
it was actually cool. Like I was like I didn't know this would work, but it works.
I'm glad.
I liked it.
I'm glad you liked it.
So that's kind of what we like. Like when Sean called and said he couldn't make it, I was like, all right, well,
Because he
we're
died.
gonna we're
he
gonna
called
try
and then died.
we're gonna try something.
I'm dying now.
I was like, we're gonna try something a little bit different because we typically do the 3-piece at bar gigs
Yeah.
as a Hangout Express, but he'll just play his piano as Nord.
Yeah.
And I was like, just bring the synth. We're gonna fuck with it. I'll have my pedals. We'll get we'll get weird. Who cares?
It's not for a good
It's
time.
like
Anytime, you know
low
what I mean?
pressure. Just people. Just a couple guys hanging out. Really.
I felt a lot of pressure.
It's cool. I
That's
like-
why I was in my head though. I was just like, God damn it, this is gonna fuck. This
Yeah.
sucks. This sucks. I don't.
You
wanna
were
do
holding
this.
it down. I felt like you were playing the parts of like 3 people, which I just learned is something that
He does that.
you learned early on.
Yeah,
does
as
that,
a
yeah.
piano player. Yeah, and when you
Yeah,
give me
that's
that, when you
awesome.
give me that room and everything like that, I'll do it. But I've also learned, and he taught me how. Apparently, you can teach people how to do things,
Yeah.
kind of like perfect pitch. But I would say he taught me how to play less. Is basically all he did.
Well,
he said,
obviously
"Listen to
people don't
yourself
learn
play."
that quickly because you haven't learned that lesson yet.
And play less. What? Yes, I do.
I'm just joking. You're doing a great job, Bill.
Oh my
You sound a lot better. I'm saying.
I sound perfect. I
You've
sound
improved.
Perfect.
Made some improvements. All right, so you gotta go soon. So I want to get to the rest of these questions before.
I'm gonna get on the beer. Is that all right?
Yeah, go
You
for it.
want
man.
anything?
I'm good.
All right.
Probably got another like 40 minutes, 30
Okay.
to 40.
Cool. Well, this shit can go. This shit can run up the clock if we're having too good of a time. So
Word.
you know. Fuck. How did I write this question? Sometimes I write these things so long and I can't like digest them really quickly. All right. Right. So you do a lot of different types of gigs now outside the creative stuff. You're playing it in corporate gigs and wedding bands and bar bands and church and all that. How do you approach each of those gigs differently and versus like being in a creative project or if you have like expectations of band leaders when you walk into a scenario? Like, just give us your approach to that world.
Yeah, it's really it's kind of like that thing I was saying before where I feel like every setting that I would play in, like every band, it's like a different operating system that I have to turn on it's not like I don't feel like it's artificial or anything. I just feel like in each context it requires something different, and but yeah, I don't know. It really depends on the day. In the corporate bands, like in the Royals, which is the main corporate band that I'm in. When we go in there, it's about like those shows are really long. We'll usually play for 3 or 4 hours, and it's in there. It's more about just like, I guess you could say precision or professionalism, or like putting on a show that looks good and has the right effect and all that. And then, to go into a bar gig, like playing at Lynch's with B-sides. It's this completely different energy where it's just about kind of like going crazy and helping people blow off steam, and
Right.
like there's no, because those dudes play like crazy, especially the drummer Bruce. Shout out to Bruce. But it's there's nothing held back, and then in other bands there's tons held back. Like you have to play very conservatively, very lightly. So I don't know. It's hard for me to have a overall answer to that, but every setting I feel like I sort of morph my approach to fit what's going on.
Do you spend time prepping more for specific gigs, or do you finally get that maybe more high pressure gigs, or are you kind of at a point now where if you get a call, you either played the songs on the list probably, or you can just kind of figure it out as you go?
Yeah, it always depends. Ones that are really big, I'll definitely make sure I take out the time to be ready. Like how I noted on there during 2018 and 19, that I was touring with the Fantasia with the MVP band, and that was an awesome experience. And before that started, I had been focusing more on like bass and keys, or doing that more, so I hadn't been playing trumpet much, and I'd lost some of the on the spot ease of trumpet that I used to have when I was playing every day. And leading up to that, I had fallen out of the practice of playing trumpet every day, doing all the exercises. But for like a month before that gig started, I was in there every day doing all the technical exercises, just because in my head it was, this gig is, I got to do this right. And I was going in there, I wanted to be ready. And, I'm always trying to do the best I can, but with the amount of things I'm juggling, I sort of like every week it takes a different kind of thing that I have to focus on, I guess. So,
Right.
So yeah, like before that time, it was an hour a day of the trumpet. Sometimes I'll go a month without playing trumpet. Maybe not a month, but I'll go a week or two without playing trumpet because I don't have any gigs where I'm playing trumpet. And then if one of them comes up, and then I haven't played trumpet in a while, I'll start hitting that again to be ready for the gig.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just maintaining what I would need for different gigs that are coming up. So yeah, the way I do prepping changes a lot with like how the calendar changes, I would say.
Yeah.
Did you say you mostly do trumpet for gigs? Like, what are you playing with on the B-sides tonight? Are you playing piano?
Bass with them.
Oh, you're playing bass. Okay.
Yeah. Mostly it's mostly...
Can't imagine there's a lot of trumpet gigs. No offense.
There's definitely a lot more gigs for bass and keyboard, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate that especially in the Royals, the band where I do play trumpet, that they get to play a lot, so that keeps me busy playing trumpet. But yeah, it's probably like half bass these days, like 40% trumpet every now and then on some keyboard.
I just can't imagine like being like, okay, I have to be a master of 3 instruments, so I have 3 times the practice.
Not a master, just good enough that nobody notices.
Well, you're not an amateur, you know what I'm trying to say. So it's just like you got to practice all 3 instruments in a day and like be able to, be like, not forget it. But it's pretty cool that you can play that. Did you play anything else besides trumpet, bass, keys, guitar?
Not really. I mean, I goof off on drums. Like I play drums in my house for fun, but I don't consider myself like a drummer. Like I won't do gigs on drums.
I do always say I feel like every musician should at least know how to play like something on every other instrument.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Really helps your perspective.
I've never seen
out.
you play piano though.
Because I can't play piano.
I thought that's whether you grew up playing.
That was my first instrument.
That's what he does behind the camera.
That's
Yeah.
exactly.
And off
That's,
the mic.
But you lost it. But I can play like something on guitar, bass,
Yeah,
drums.
I mean, I can
I
can
can't
play something.
anything on trumpet or brass. I never even tried. I've always wanted to learn saxophone. I thought
It's not worth it.
Thought it was the coolest instrument ever. But trumpet's weird because you got to do it the whole time. And that makes my lips tickle, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's Jesus.
I'm just not a big fan of that feeling. So I don't want to do it. Saxophone though, you just blow into it, right? It's a story, right?
It's close to that. It involves like you have to vibrate the reed against your lower lip.
I'm out. I don't like that feeling.
But it's much closer to just blowing.
Okay, cool.
If you get your lower lip in the right place and you get the airstream the right way, it'll vibrate it.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, maybe saxophone then.
Yeah, you should learn saxophone.
When I was in 4th grade, I learned viola.
Nice.
Hell
Never
yeah.
got past pizzicato though.
That's something I've never have
String instrument.
looked into is
It's
anything
hard.
with a bow.
It's hard, man.
I tried to teach myself violin. I was playing this kind of like country, pop, folky band.
Oh, you're
back
trying to learn
in
fiddle.
back in South
The
Florida,
hardest violin.
and
not violin. You're talking about fiddle.
and they were like, "Hey, would you?
Country
We have
violin's
a
a good
couple
band
songs. It's be like a cool thing to play. We don't and the parts don't sound very hard." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down to try." So I started practicing for a couple weeks.
No shit.
And I was able to get like a decent
How old were
sound.
you?
I was like 23.
So you just at 23, you're like, yeah, I got this.
Well, because I played a little bit. I've
Hell
played.
yeah.
Crazy.
I've
You know, it's
played.
the hardest instrument to learn. Right?
I didn't learn it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, it's
He's like, yeah, that's
Make
the
it
thing.
vibrate the right way on top of the
so
strings.
I was able to get like a nice bowing sound. I was able to kind of get it to sound decent like that. And I know it's the same scales or same intervals as the mandolin, which I've played enough mandolin to know like the major
You
scales and
played
stuff.
mandolin too?
So
That's
part of the same project
Nice.
actually. So I was able to get the fingering down pretty quickly. It was just the bowing and all that. And then after a few weeks of like, I have no real passion for the instrument.
Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to. I have a passion for playing guitar.
There's something about violin where it's just like it's so old school, like ridiculously old school, and the fact that you can just bring it anywhere, and anytime you just bust out a violin, it's the classiest fucking thing in the world. Also very annoying sometimes though.
Yeah.
If you ever hear like a
People that are bad or that are overplaying.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Dude, any instrument with a bow scares me.
yeah,
I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
'cause it's made out of horsehair.
Oh yeah.
So what's that about? You know what I'm saying?
All right.
That's why it scares me.
Yeah.
I'm scared of
It's
horses.
made out of animals. I don't know about playing it.
Okay.
Well, I guess piano used to be made out of ivory from the tusks
Yep.
of elephants.
Yep.
So
All right. So I do want to
made for
ask
tinkling.
you. I do want to ask you
illegal
about
nowadays.
Right.
the Fantasia gig and what that was like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be clear, Fantasia, the American Idol pop star, not
Yes.
the Disney movie.
not the Disney
Just for our listeners.
cartoon collages.
Yeah. Fantasia's
Yeah,
good.
no, it was great. It was an awesome experience.
Where'd you guys go? Did you tour with them, or you just did a couple local things?
So basically, there wasn't a full tour, but it was, I think over the course that I was with them, I think I did about 12 or 13 shows with them.
Okay.
And they weren't in one chunk like a tour, but they were all across the country. So we did, like, a lot of them were in the Southeast and like Alabama and I think South Carolina, that kind of stuff. We did one in Louisville, Kentucky, which was
Louisville,
cool.
But it's okay.
Exactly, Louisville.
There you go.
Louisville.
We did one there. We did one in Tampa. So most of it was all in the southeastern part of the U.S., but we were traveling around doing that. And we did 2 shows on the Tom Joyner cruise,
Okay.
which was awesome. Which that's something that they do every year that goes around the, I guess the Caribbean. Like goes around. It started in, where was it? In why am I forgetting? Puerto Rico is where they started, and went around there, and then they like have R&B shows on the boat.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. We did 2 shows inside this theater that was on the cruise boat,
Nice.
which was cool. But yeah, so it was mostly like spot dates where we would travel around the sort of southern part of the country
And
and do shows.
I was gonna say, can I ask how'd you get that gig? Did you fall into it? Did you try out or?
It was actually, well, it was through a connection with Darren Escar. Do either of you guys know Darren Escar?
That name sounds really familiar.
No.
Darren Escar is awesome, and he's a saxophone player in town,
Yeah.
and he's done a lot. He joined that Fantasia gig years ago. Like, I think he joined it pretty quick out of high school and was with them, I don't know when, but maybe around 2010 or something. And he did that with them for a long time. And I came to know Darren through a lot of bands around here. He plays in, he started a band called South City Live.
Oh, I know them, yeah.
Yeah, that's Darren's band that he started. And he was involved in the band Be Easy.
Okay.
Oh yeah, love them.
Yeah, they're awesome. Who else? He plays with Split Tone.
Yeah.
So he's around. He's on the scene a lot. He played for this band called The Reign of Kindo, if you guys know that band.
That's a great
They're
band
cool.
name.
They have great music that they're on Spotify and stuff. But
He just hit you up one day and was like, "Hey, we need a trumpet player."
well, I ended up being like, I was doing gigs with Darren every day for a while. We were in like 5 different bands together.
yeah.
And so yeah, at one point they needed somebody to fill the spot there. He was in it, and
What was the band like for Fantasia? Like, how many piece band was it?
it was.
Because they had trumpet, saxophone. I'm thinking they're gonna have like a whole orchestra or something.
No, it was actually just 2 horns.
Oh, it was just 2 horns. And
Yeah,
then
just me and him on horns.
Never mind.
And the rest of the band, I guess it was. So the core band would have been a 5-piece, because they usually had drums, bass, 2 keyboards, and a guitar player.
2 keyboards always weirds me out, but I understand why you do it.
And both of the keyboard players had a bunch of keyboards, so it was more like 7 keyboards.
Oh, wow.
And the bass player had a keyboard.
I get why you do it. It's just
Yeah.
very funny to me.
Yeah.
But that's.
But yeah, it was basically just a 5-piece band and 2 horns. And usually at the shows, she would have a couple backup singers, 2 or 3 backup singers as
That makes
well.
sense. So
Yeah.
were you playing like covers? How many songs does Fantasia have? Like, does she have albums?
She's got a
for it?
ton. She's
I
got a
just-
whole catalog of
She
them.
got
Yeah.
like famous from American Idol, right?
That was definitely the kickstart
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
her career, yeah.
And then so she got famous singing covers, right? At American Idol, that's all it is.
I guess back then,
How much were y'all playing?
I was probably 7 or 8 when that happened.
right. I just meant like how many
But-
covers were you playing? Were there, or was it just all original stuff?
Not many. We did one. We did a cover of a Tina Turner song, which is pretty dope. And they make it super dramatic and huge, like at the end of the song.
What song?
Was it
Yeah.
"Lose to Win"?
Yeah, that's a good
Is that right? Yeah, it was awesome.
I was gonna
But
say.
no, it was mostly her songs. She's got a catalog of great music for
So
sure.
were you making bank?
It was decent.
It was decent.
Yeah.
You're doing all right.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can say that.
You can tell, man.
How much were you making?
Yeah.
No, just what were those? What were like,
The exact numbers.
I'll write it on a piece of paper.
Before
No.
taxes. What was it?
what the
Right. What kind of form did they send you in the mail?
I'm just
Yeah,
wondering,
right.
and it was more of a, because I don't, I have never seen her, of course, but I was thinking like how big of a production it was, and like what was like the room size and everything when you were playing to. Was it like a stadium sort of deal, or
It was big, man. It was
You're right?
it was bigger than anything I'd been involved in before that. But yeah, like when we played in Louisville, it was at the KFC Arena.
at the KFC Yum
in
Center?
there.
Jesus Christ!
Exactly, the Yum Center.
Yeah, I know it's the worst name ever, but
I was
they've
like,
got
why is it so
subsidized rights for
delicious
it.
in here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's better than Papa John's though. Hey, listen, so yeah, you're playing in front of like 10,000 people or so.
Yeah, some of them were about
And
that size.
and
yeah.
That's
they
awesome.
just give you, I imagine they just give you like a deal like this is how much you're going to get paid for the show. Doesn't matter how much money we make. Agree
well,
or
they-
disagree.
Yeah, it was the same for each thing. It
Oh,
was
no.
it was worked out through like the MVP band's sub company and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Now,
That's pretty cool, though.
what was the preparation for those shows? Like, did you guys have rehearsals? Were you?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before we went out and started playing, there was a lot of rehearsals. We would do like, I want to say maybe 1 or 2 a week for like a few weeks leading up to it.
Okay.
Yeah, just to get everything going. And before I joined, I was like the latest addition when I got added. So they already had recordings of like the newest version of the show. So I spent a long time at home just looping that recording of the show to
Yeah.
like have it all in my head.
Totally.
And I was like, if there's one thing I want to know every note to, it's this. And then when I went in there, I was already kind of familiar with it.
Was there any expectations that you had going in that maybe weren't met, or expectations that maybe that were above situations that were above and beyond your expectations?
Man, I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect, really.
Yeah.
But from the start, I was just kind of like, well, I'm along for this ride. See what this is like.
I'm always curious. Sorry, you were about to say something?
Well, I guess I was just thinking, it was an interesting experience being on the, like you're saying, like those bigger stages.
Yeah.
It was I had these weird feelings about like size and stuff, relative size. It's weird that in a place that's really big, the stage seems really small or something.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, I feel like when you're in the crowd at a huge concert, it seems like the people on the stage are larger than life or something. In some way, like also tiny visually, but
yeah, that's how I feel too.
But there's this weird feeling about size. It's like they look like the size of ants because I'm far away, but it feels like they're bigger up there or something.
What's it like looking out at that many people though?
It's weird.
Yeah, right?
It's just like sea of people. I tried to block it out.
Yeah,
Not
of
block it
course.
out, but if I started thinking about it too much, I would just imagine I was in like a little bar. And there was like 30 people looking at me.
That's the key.
And then I could like play better.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't think about that, how overblown this is. I was like, I'm in my bedroom practicing. It's the same as the last 100 times I did it.
Well, that's what tightrope walking is. I mean, you don't start practicing tightrope walking
Right.
across Mount Everest or the Twin Towers.
I did personally,
Well,
but
good for you, kid. But that's all it is. It's the same trick. You're just doing it up way higher. Nothing changes except for your fear of it. That's the way I look at crowds too and everything.
totally.
So
It's all in your head. In a
I
way.
don't think I've ever. I was gonna say that I'll ever play. Maybe one day.
Yeah, you
But
can't
for-
tell yourself shit like
For
that.
20,000
Dude, you
people
will.
though, that's insane.
Yeah, it'll happen one day.
Yeah.
I listened to
I'm just messing it up.
I
can't
listened
wait.
to the
I can't wait.
the Joe Rogan
Yeah.
show with Kanye like
Oh,
a few
yeah.
months back.
Yeah.
But I just remember him saying that he was like, if you had this beam that was thousands of feet in the air, like no one could walk across it. But if you put a line of red tape on the ground, anyone could walk across it. And he's like, it's actually no different. Technically, you're just walking along the same straight line. He was like, if you do it like you're just on the ground walking on a piece of tape, then it's the same thing. I was like,
That's
it was interesting to think about. It makes sense though.
Yeah, there was a lot about that interview that I thought was pretty fascinating. You got a lot
Yeah, that was
of shit
something.
for that. But
I thought it was cool.
there's a lot of he did.
Maybe semi-popular opinion. I liked Kanye on Rogan.
That was one of my from a few weeks ago. But it's
the man's nuts.
but there's a level of kind of what's the word I'm thinking of?
Hey, that's how you want to spend your money. Spend your money, dude.
No,
whatever.
it's just self-fulfilling prophecy type shit, you know, where like people are very negative and create their own their own bad situations because of that, whereas Kanye is just like, yeah, I'm just gonna dream as big and as crazy as fucking possible.
It's cool. You still haven't
And-
watched this church service, have you?
No, although I had a friend of mine that was a
for-
drummer
yeah.
for one of his for several of his church services.
The church
actually.
services, or like when he actually plays in an arena?
No, the services.
The services. Well, I'm talking about when the church stuff that he did at like arenas and everything.
Yeah.
Like that. You gotta watch it.
Yeah, my friend said it was pretty
It's
powerful
crazy
experience.
looking. It's so cool how they have it like a whole circle and like everybody's like standing close to him and everything like that. He's got a little bit of a god complex. I don't know if you know that, but everybody's standing in a circle and the whole band's in a circle facing outward. And
haven't seen it. It sounds cool.
And then they just got like the most flowers you've ever seen in your entire life just surrounding them, and then this giant circle of white light coming down through like a kind of translucent thing, and then throughout the show it goes from white to like dark blue. Just
Sounds
like
cool.
Slowly in an hour, and it's all gospel music.
Dang.
Yeah.
And then every now and then Kanye West will go up there and then start singing like Jesus walks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You ever heard that one?
Yeah.
Anyways. It's a genius.
But dude, like you were saying, I think that's completely real. Is that like if you take him as an example, he's like that because he always thought he would be like that anyway.
Exactly.
And then that's how it unfolds into reality.
Exactly.
Fake it till you make it.
And yeah, I mean, it's like that's this weird layer of reality that I think some people skip over it, but it's like your thought process affects how you speak, and then affects the choices you make, and then it affects like everything else that happens to you. So if you change that, then you change everything else.
I mean, it really is a perspective thing. You know, it's like when you encounter an issue, something as simple as like, you know, your tire blows out in the road or something, right? And it's like, well, the perspective can be, fuck, like, why me? Of course this had happened to me. I'm on my way to work and blah, 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 and I'm going to be late and this and that. Or,
nothing worse than that has actually ever happened to anyone in all of history.
Yeah.
A tire blowout.
You would think by some people's reaction that would be the case,
exactly.
right? Yeah. But then there's also the person that looks at it as, okay, well, you just get it, you just fix it and you move on, you know?
Yeah.
Or then there's like the next layer of somebody is like, oh, sweet, an opportunity to solve a problem. You know, like that's the kind of shit. It's literally the perspective.
I think musicians have a great job at that because they have something called stage presence, which means that they know that everybody is looking at you the whole time.
Yeah.
You can't hide yourself on stage.
Yeah.
So if you keep that kind of mentality in your life, you're like, everybody's watching me, everything like that. It's all about how you react. You can see it on your face.
Yeah.
I smile when shit goes wrong. You got to.
Yeah.
Because what are you supposed to do on stage? Like, get all angry, like, oh, what the fuck?
It's hilarious when shit goes wrong.
That's my favorite thing to do. Is when
sometimes
when somebody
Might as
messes,
well.
somebody messes
With to a degree,
To a degree,
within
yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
If somebody messes up in our band or any band, I just look over them and smile real big.
That's all you can do. Yeah.
I'm like,
Totally.
you
Totally.
fucked up.
I
But
just-
smile real big.
I-
Nobody will know.
I always look back
Now
at.
they know, I guess.
I'll look back at you or Aaron sometimes, and I'll just be like.
Yeah, but you can't do
my,
that. You
no,
can't
no,
do
no.
that. When you mess up,
but not like a not in like a.
everyone's watching you.
It's more like in a endearing way. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean. Not so much like fuck you. It's
Yeah.
more just like, got that.
No. I learned that the hard way. I got real mad at my drummer because he had a really bad memory because of all the drugs that he took. So I would like yell at him on stage. Don't do that.
Yeah, you can't
Is
do
what
that.
I've learned.
Right. I've learned that as well.
Yeah, it's you. The only way that you know is when somebody comes and is like, "Why are you yelling on stage? You look so mad." I'm like, "Oh shit, I ruined the show. You ruined the show more than your reaction ruins the show more than the actual mistake."
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
put a smile
You know,
on your
that
face.
that actually that really reminds me of, I think one of the things I was gonna say that I've learned over time is that I think I used to have a bigger. I mean, I still want everything to be just right, but I used to have a much bigger perfectionist complex.
Oh yeah.
And there was times where I would get like really dissatisfied with bandmates and stuff like that because it didn't sound how I wanted it to sound. And like sometimes I like would be a real dick about it, and then later I'd be like, I shouldn't have been like that. And I think over time I've realized that music sort of comes out better when you don't force it too hard. And and it's like, I think I hear everything a certain way, and I realize that like everyone hears music in a different way, and all of the bands that I was in got better or like they started sounding better to me when I was like, I should let that person play it how they hear it and not like want it to be the way I hear it.
Right.
Because then I spent the whole time like at some level fighting against what was happening. In my head I was like, that's not right.
Right.
And I would go a whole gig being like, it doesn't sound right.
Right.
In my head, like I wouldn't say anything, but I wouldn't enjoy it as much because I was like attached to what I wanted it to sound like.
Yeah.
And at some point I learned to like let go of that, I guess. And I started being like, well, if I listen to how this person wants to play this thing, I might hear something more interesting that I wouldn't have thought of.
Exactly.
And I'll enjoy it more because I'm not like fighting against it.
You gotta let go of the ego. You know, that's what it boils down to.
Right.
In every aspect, whether it's giving up some kind of creative control or whether it's, you know, not being too hard on yourself, even, you know, at a show, just whatever it is, just kind of letting go of the pressure a little bit. Obviously, I'm still
You're so bad at it.
I'm so bad at that. Yeah.
This guy will like beat himself up for like days afterwards.
Oh,
I've been there.
I'm not saying that I've mastered the technique.
I
just
have
saying,
mastered it.
Yeah.
I am so.
That's why you can levitate.
Yeah, I can levitate.
Probably works a little bit against you at this point, though.
It does a little bit
Yeah.
because sometimes I should be a little bit more take things a little bit more seriously.
Yeah. But there's sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's kind of the flip side of that same realization is when I stopped judging the way other people are playing, I got easier on myself too.
Yeah.
Because I think I used to feel like everyone was listening to me really closely the whole time. And I felt like if I played a note that I didn't like, that everyone in the building was like staring at me.
Yeah.
And I've learned over the years that that's so far from correct. It's more like you could play everything perfectly and probably no one would still pay attention.
Right. Right.
That's a really good quote.
maybe that's a little self-deprecating, but it's like that. It's like I feel like 90% of the time, if I do something that I think was bad, it's like no one is actually paying attention to this.
Yeah.
And so if I just forget about it, no one else even noticed.
Exactly.
And then I'm not holding myself up going forward.
It also it allows you to move on a little bit with less stress too, you know, as you get hung up on that one thing and then you put yourself in this state of mind where like you can't even be present anymore. You're still back there. That moment's gone.
Exactly.
And like you're fucking yourself up in the moment even more, and you're just ruining it goes back to that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy thing. It's like, oh, I ruined that moment here, and now it's like all I can do is just like be in this bad state of mind and keep ruining moments, you know?
Yeah, I know that feeling super well because music always unfolds in the present moment.
Exactly.
And if your mind gets stuck on something 5 minutes ago, you can't play anymore.
It's literally
because you're not right there.
It is so crippling. It's insane, man.
Yeah.
Like it happened. I catch myself all the time, like where I'm thinking about. I'll be in the middle of a solo, and then something will pop in my head. I'll be like, oh, did I pay that bill or something? And then all of a sudden, it's just like, oh fuck, and I train wreck whatever I'm doing in the forget a word, I forget a lyric, or just like a solo just starts it's crippling.
You know when I really mess up on stage is when I start going like, oh man, I sound so great right now.
Yeah.
If I ever think something like that, then I immediately stop sounding good.
Yeah.
That literally happened to me on a gig we were playing at 1904. I was playing this solo that for one of Billy's tunes. It's a really difficult solo. It's like very fast and like kind of like country chicken picking kind of. And so I had gotten through the hardest part of the solo, and I look over at Billy. I'm like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah, because he
and
finally got it.
As soon as I did that, like on the downbeat, I'm supposed to land on the root note, and I land on like the fucking on the half step up from it, and I was like, "God damn!"
That's so funny.
It's like, "God damn it!"
And I laughed even harder.
Yeah, you laughed.
Yeah.
But
You were so close.
Yeah, so close.
the only thing that really gets to me at any time now is last minute changes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
you get stressed out.
I
about
get
that.
stressed out. I
Yeah.
get really stressed out. That's what on Jackrabbits. Like I worked a night shift job and I woke up at like 5 o'clock. I woke up late that day. We're supposed to load in was at 6, and then
And
I
you're
found
like, wait, we're doing what?
exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, ah, shit. And I don't know how to do this. I'm like thinking like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? And everything like that. But that's literally the only other time that I get nervous playing anything.
Yeah, last minute changes don't fuck with me at all. I
Yeah.
just get nervous about playing in front of a lot of people when I know that they're there to hear our music. That's what gets me.
Yeah.
So the pressure's on, you know.
But Carrie, my girlfriend, she was making fun of me so hard because she said I was so nervous I wasn't talking, and she thought that like something was going on.
That's how I felt too.
That's
I was like,
how-
what's wrong with you,
Yeah,
bro?
I'm not talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
funny.
So
All right,
anyway, I apologize about that.
We gotta move on. Before we go on
Oh, shit,
onto
it's-
unpopular opinions, you want to plug some of the bands you're in? Or, I mean, Mr. Cool is like one of my favorite
Yeah,
local
man,
bands
I
right now. You guys
really
are
like
awesome.
that band a lot.
Thank
you,
a
dude.
lot.
Dude, yeah, I had a great time at that show
And you
last
look
week.
cool playing trumpet and piano at the same time. I
Yeah.
will say that's badass.
Hell yeah, I've been enjoying it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I got a couple projects going on now that are good. That's a main one, Mr. Cool, which is
Such
a
a
band.
Great band name too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Number
stoked
one
about
fan.
that project. And that band's kind of based out of St. Augustine.
How long have you been together for? That's,
About a year.
yeah, brand new.
But well, it's funny. We played our very first show in February last year, right before COVID happened,
Yeah, go figure.
and then we didn't play any shows for like 8 months. So, but we used that period to like write all the music and
Yeah.
record an album. So we've recorded a full album, and right now we're mixing it and stuff.
I
And
can't wait to hear it, man.
there's gonna be a single out very soon, like maybe in the next week or two, and there's gonna be the full album in a couple months.
Where are
Probably.
you recording it? On your own?
No, we recorded it at NFS. which is
St.
North
Augustine.
Florida Studios. Do you know about that place?
Yeah, that's right. LPT did their album.
Oh, okay.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's an
fucking
incredible
amazing.
studio. It's in Elkton,
LPT.
which is like in the country west from St. Augustine.
Elkton. Never heard of it.
And it's awesome. It's like that place is like a 7 or 8 bedroom mansion basically that they like turned into a studio.
That's dope.
It's awesome.
Let's go check that place out.
yeah,
but,
shit.
But yeah, so there's Mr. Cool. Album is gonna be out soon. I'm in another band called El Castillo, with 2 guys from St. Augustine.
Spanish for the Castillo. Everybody knows that.
Dude, you're the first guy to figure that out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And that's really fun. That's with Mike Monahan,
Oh, and
who I
drums?
was in Kapowski with,
Okay.
and this guy Ben McLeod, who's in a band called All Them Witches,
Okay.
and yeah, he's really awesome. That
I've
band's
heard-
fun.
I've heard great things about that band, by the way.
Thanks, dude. It's really fun. It's like a sort of like surf rock, old school blues, like rock kind of style. It's really
Nice.
fun.
Hell yeah.
And
What do you play in that band? Trumpet?
bass.
Oh, you play bass?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
And yeah, I'm in a Grateful Dead band called One Good Ring.
Where do you play?
Bass.
Sorry, where?
Oh, where? So actually, one of our members is the owner of a couple of Mellow Mushrooms, so we play at some of the Mellow Mushrooms
go.
and stuff like that.
In St.
Nice.
Augustine or up here?
He owns the one in St. Augustine and this new one that's in Durban,
Where are all
like
these
Fruit Cove,
weird
kind
little
of.
Fruit
cities?
Cove,
Oh,
okay.
Fruit Cove. Oh,
Yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah.
All right, well, gotta come see you play.
But and then I also
Yeah, keep
have
going, obviously. How many bands are you in?
I also have my solo project, which is called The Winding Road, and I've put up 2 albums online that maybe I should send you like some links that you could put up with the episode or something.
Yeah, well, we'll put it on our bottom of the bill playlist for sure.
Awesome. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. And so yeah, Winding Road, and I'm hoping to do some live shows with that soon.
Once we get even close to it, we start moving weird. And then if you face it full on, you freak out until you surrender.
What are you playing?
And I just do like Ableton,
oh, cool.
and I run it with the push, and I have like a keyboard.
yeah, the
and
1 or
different stuff
2
like that.
push.
Push 2.
Yeah, the push 2. I just sold mine. I was just like, this is too much, and it's too expensive.
Dude, I love
too.
that thing.
I liked it, but it was just like, it's. I don't need all this.
It's a big
stuff.
learning curve for me, but
It's not, yeah, because you have to learn all the other stuff and everything like that. But it's more just like you could do this with a launch pad for $100, and this thing was $650.
yeah.
So-
I'm just an Ableton nerd, so I love the way the
Yeah.
push integrates with it. It's
Yeah,
like
sure.
design. Every button like fits into Ableton perfectly, so it's cool. But yeah,
That's cool. I
And that's just
too.
yeah, that's about it as far as that stuff. And I just recently put out a record with the Evan Rufino Trio
Okay.
that people should check out on Spotify. It's called Waterwell Music. It's me, Evan, and Stefan Klein.
Oh, word. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, and that album is really cool. It's all Evan's music, and it's super awesome. Like It's tough to explain. It's like jazz put through a weird. It's like, you know, when you look through a glass of water and everything's like all weird and stretched out.
Yeah.
It's like jazz through a glass of water.
Okay.
Refracted jazz.
I like that.
That's what. Yeah, refracted jazz.
So jazz.
New genre name. I love genres, man.
Let's start making refracted genre adjective.
It sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Refracted jazz.
Oh
I mean,
shit. Boy,
Refracted jam band.
refracted jam band.
You should have heard them last night. They were getting refracted.
Dude, I could see all 7
They
colors,
were
bro.
bending every light. I saw the whole rainbow.
Wow. A double rainbow.
Double rainbow across the sky. Woo!
All right. So unpopular opinions. Let's get to it.
All right.
You
This
go
is good.
first.
This is good because I didn't know
Yeah.
if you were gonna be, I don't know, what kind of person you are.
I'm this kind of person.
There it
But
is.
this has been a nice podcast. It's been real
Hell yeah.
informative for me, anyways. All right. What? Where all my goes?
All right. I'm gonna go.
No. I got it. All right. This is a long one. Musicians or sommeliers. You know what that is?
Or what?
That's like the people that taste wine.
Yeah. And know everything about wine.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Wine has a million different flavors, but its main flavor is drunk. The same way music has a million different options and sounds, the best music reaches all audience to dance and have fun. Anything else is just for musicians.
It's good. It's good.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, this is kind of in line with that actually. Disco is pretty dope. I like disco.
Word.
I'm a fan. I always have been a fan. That's why my
People-
mom raised me on was Casey and the Sunshine Band. I swear to God, I know
Some
every single song. by now.
Fucking great bass lines,
Yeah.
great horn arrangements, it's good danceable.
All they wanted you to do is
songwriting.
dance and have fun. That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
say.
People give disco a lot of shit, and I think that it's actually, if you listen to it a little bit more than just the cheesy lyrics and the really annoying production,
There's
it's actually really well written music.
It's really bad disco though.
Yeah, for sure.
Like really bad disco.
What's your second unpopular opinion?
Okay, sorry. Get real it's bad disco. That sounds like a good band name. I'm sorry, I don't know if you like sports at all, but unwritten rules in baseball are stupid. Baseball season's coming back, one more month.
All right.
But there's a like unwritten rule, like you don't flip your bat if you're a visiting team
Oh, I've never heard
after
that.
you hit a home run.
Never heard that.
Talking to nobody knows this.
That's also going over my head.
You don't swing on a 2-0 count, or I'm sorry, 3-0 count.
Okay.
Especially
tradition.
if you're ahead. Yeah, it's stupid. What are you supposed to do? Just take the strike and just what do they want you to do? All right, whatever.
All right.
Like, this is going nowhere.
I love football.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, bud.
So I'm 100% down with clapping on the 1 and 3. I'm good with it.
What? No, don't do that.
It's fair enough.
All down. I'm all
fair
for
enough.
it. When I see people getting down at a gig and I start seeing them clap on the 1 and 3, it's hilarious. But at the same time, they're just having a good time. I'm all for it. I'm not gonna.
They're clapping.
They're clapping.
That's gonna
Exactly.
Fuck, that's gonna
See,
fuck
beggars
me
can't
up
be choosers.
when I'm playing it. I
It
can't
does
deal with
fuck me
that.
up a little bit, but it is. It's just it's fun. It's. I'm just happy that somebody's enjoying what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're gonna clap on 1 and 3, also include the 2 and the 4, because this is gonna mess me up. All right, my last one is the movie Bohemian Rhapsody is awful every second of it.
Really bad.
It's so bad. It's like the worst movie I've ever seen, and I can't believe it's my mom's favorite movie.
I mean, it's no Cape Fear, but it's pretty bad.
Cape Fear is so much better than Bohemian Rhapsody.
Just
How
saying.
can you even say that?
Maybe that's my unpopular opinion for next week.
It's just I hate any sort of band biopic.
I won't lie, I haven't seen any of those.
But have you seen Walk Hard before, with the Dewey Cox story?
Yeah.
Well, you have to watch at least like Ray or like some other sort of yeah, that's the Rats.
Yeah.
But you got to see
Nice.
one of the other
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, real behind the scenes. I got Rats at all. Riverside Rats. But you got to see one of those biopic movies, and then you'll kind of get Walk Hard because they just make fun of everything.
Yeah.
But music biopics are so bad.
Really
I
bad.
hate 'em.
Really bad.
I saw the Miles Davis movie that they made a couple years ago.
I didn't know there was.
That was watchable, but still kind of.
It wasn't that great.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I mean, I
Don
kinda-
Cheadle played him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed that
I
it
can see
existed.
Yeah.
I was like, it's fun to watch scenes of a guy acting as Miles Davis.
Yeah.
But I was like, on the pure merits of being a movie, this probably isn't the best movie ever.
They never are. It's always all just so overblown and the same exact timeline for every musician out there.
And
They
there was
love
like,
music, they do drugs, they get fucked up, and then there's a comeback.
yeah.
Or they die.
That's what
one
Walk
of the two.
Hard
And
is.
that
It's
movie,
making
they,
fun of
I
all
feel
of them.
like,
And I love that movie.
I feel like they put in like unnecessary action scenes. There's like a car chase or something.
Yeah.
It's like I don't feel like Miles Davis was in car chases and
Yeah.
stuff all the time.
The only movie that kind of follows that sort of like plot that is good is that Thing You Do.
That was a great movie.
It's a great movie, but it's not a real.
It's not a real story.
A real band or
Yeah.
anything like that. I'm like, that makes sense. I'll
Yeah.
listen to that. But
And there-
even just a little while ago during quarantine, they made a David Bowie movie.
Oh, I'm sure it was terrible.
Mark Maron is his manager for when he comes to America. The guy looks nothing like David Bowie.
Wow.
Sings nothing like him. It's just
Mark
like,
Maron.
what is this? Yeah, I know. And Mark Maron's the guy.
It's hilarious.
It's so bad. It's obviously like the worst one. It was very low budget. I'm like, I can't believe you did my boy like that.
Well, what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
All right. So
Stop making them, please.
my last one, and I don't think you're gonna get this at all, but
Okay.
I can't stand John McLaughlin. I can't stand
Who's
him.
John McLaughlin?
He's a jazz guitar player.
Yeah.
Returned to Forever.
He
and
plays jazz.
he's more. I mean, he does, but he's more like known for his fusion kind of.
Still alive?
Yes. Yeah.
For what it's worth, I'll say that I'm
Wait,
probably neutral about him.
He
I guess I'm
he
neutral
wasn't.
too. I
No,
never
what?
heard him.
No, I'm thinking of Al Di Meola from Return to Forever. John McLaughlin
Yeah.
was Trans-Siberian not Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Jesus
Trans-Siberian
Christ.
Orchestra?
What was
Huge
Mahavishnu
fan.
Orchestra?
Mahavishnu.
Jesus Christ! Sorry.
Bro, you want to rock
But
out to some
it's still-
TSO
it's-
tonight?
it's
bud?
Birds
still-
of Fire is a cool record, though.
Is
I
it like
think.
him solo?
No,
or-
that's one of. It's like a
One of Mahavishnu's.
Mahavishnu one,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I just it's not even like the songs are bad. It's I can't stand the way that he plays guitar. It's just like so. I'm just like you need to fucking
Bro, chill
lay off the cocaine.
So yeah, like
There's
I
There's a
would
lot of
say,
musicians like that, especially from those times.
Yeah, big time.
yeah, unpopular opinion
80s.
because nobody knows who you're talking about.
No.
So nobody has
Okay.
that opinion.
All right. Well, John, what you got?
So remember my first one, and I feel like Billy might have a problem with this.
Probably.
But
Brain-
Throw it out there.
unpopular
down.
opinion, I think 432 hertz does sound better than 440 hertz.
Well,
And I know
to
that-
each their own. But
I know
I guess is that perfect?
Whenever I've
There you
It's
go.
perfect.
That's all I'm trying to go.
A432 is the perfect pitch.
Okay, well I don't agree.
It's a
with
universal frequency.
and I've got Plato to back me up, so there's this thing is perfect.
Well,
But, no,
I agree. with you, though.
Dude, I believe that shit. I started making my electronic music tuned to 432. I tuned the synths to 432, and I think it sounds better. So
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my music. I can do whatever I
You can
want.
do whatever you want. I mean,
You
that's
weren't-
what
you
Hendrix
weren't
did
kidding.
too.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's why you can't play it. I think Tom Petty did it too, because you can't fucking play
No,
any of those music.
No, they just detune their shit just barely because they don't want people to be able to learn it right away or whatever, or they have to tune it to like the piano or whatever it might be that's not in tune.
Did Hendrix play it at 432?
432,
That's
yep.
cool.
Uh,
I've heard that Bob Marley did too.
I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't doubt it though. I mean, you can look at the way that the vibrations actually travel at 432 versus at 440, and they're just
You put them through water.
and put them through water. It's like they're just more aesthetically pleasing to look at.
This is some fucking musician sommelier shit for
Okay,
sure.
you.
I'm just saying that it is.
Okay, but it's true though. This is science.
What do we talk at? What's our hertz at? You
I don't
what I'm
know.
saying?
I don't know.
What's humanity's hertz?
I don't know, but
It's a
A is
great
tuned to
band
432.
Humanity's hertz.
Humanity's hurts. All right.
Oh man, and you could write it as HURTS or TZ. Humanity hurts.
All right.
432 HURTS.
Yes. Oh my
Oh,
god, that's
God.
amazing.
That's good.
All right, John. Well, thanks for being here, man. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. This is a really
Hell
fun
yeah.
show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Y'all are awesome.
Good luck at your gig tonight. And,
Don't ever say that. Break a leg.
Oh, break a leg.
Fucking
Sorry.
idiot.
Sorry. Break a leg.
I'll do my best.
Make sure you break several parts of your leg. Why don't you?
Yeah.
That's the plan.
That's.
I always do.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Adios,
Peace out.
muchachos.